Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Rye House Kart Raceway for the 2022 Rye House London Cup. I am super excited for today's racing, and it's going to be fantastic. Whether you're here at the Rye House circuit, listen to me on the circuit commentary, or whether you're at home watching on the live stream, a very warm welcome. And it is not much of a warm welcome. It's very, very chilly today here at Rye House in Hoddesdon, of course, and it's a little bit damp as well. You can see there from those shots in the paddock, a few little puddles still holding on for dear life there, and it is still a little bit slippery out on track. So it's going to be a bit of a difficult one, deciding between wets and dries to start off with anyway, but I think we're supposed to see some more clear blue skies throughout the day, and hopefully a little bit more sunshine as well. So that's your weather forecast over, and we're going to get into some racing very, very soon. Now, of course, we've already had a day of action yesterday here at Rye House. Some qualifying sessions, some practice sessions, and some heats as well, but of course it depends on which class. I'll quickly run you through that. So we've already had the qualifying sessions for the IAME Bambinos, the Bambino Comas, and the Honda Cadets, and we've also had the first heat for the Sodi Micromaxes, the Junior Rotaxes, the Senior Rotaxes, and the 177 Rotaxes. So today we've got heats and we've got finals. The first round of heats will be heat number 1 for the IAME Bambinos, Coma Bambinos, and Honda Cadets, and then heat number 2 for the Sodi Micromaxes, Junior Rotax, Senior Rotax, and 177 Rotax. Then we go on to heat 2s and heat 3s, and then on to finals. Now, all races today are going to be 8 minutes long plus 1 lap, so super quick races, not even time to think about what's going on. You've just got to send it and try and get as many positions as you can, as quickly as possible. Well, that's really the goal for today, and of course, you could win the London Cup for your class. What an honour, what an achievement, and what a fantastic venue to be having this at. Of course, one of the longest running races that we held here at Rye House. I've recently started commentating at Rye House in 2022. I've now done the IKR and I've done the RHPK as well. It's always brilliant racing, but today is something like I've never seen before. The amount of hustle and bustle around the paddock, the excitement, the amount of people here enjoying themselves, getting involved and going racing. It's going to be fantastic, and I am super excited. Now, of course, the Rye House circuit, 8 corners in total, 950 metres in length. Quite a short lap. Of course, now with it being a little bit more damp, the timings of the laps are going to be a little bit longer than we would expect, but usually in the dries, the drivers are looking at around sort of high 30 seconds, low 40 seconds, and then for the Bambinos, closer to the 50-second mark for a lap. So over an 8-minute race, we are going to get a decent amount of laps, and of course this circuit with those 8 corners, a lot of opportunities to overtake. So they're going to have to get that done during the heats. Those heats will then set the grid for the final. So of course, if you throw it away in one of the heats, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. You can bring it back in the later heats, get yourself a good position for the final, and the final, that's where it really matters. That's where you get your prize, and that's where you want to be on the podium, or you really want to be in that top spot. But of course, only one person can get that top spot in each class. So it's going to be a difficult fight through the day. But as I say, I for one am very excited. I'm sure you are as well. Now, we are indeed live streaming. If you're at the circuit and you didn't realise, today we are live streaming the races. So make sure you head over to the Motorsport Radio YouTube, Facebook or Twitch channels. We'll be live over there all day, and also on the Rye House YouTube and Facebook pages as well. So make sure you go over there and share it with all your mates. So you got anyone that you want to watch it, if you're a driver, if you're a mum or dad, if you're any other kind of supporter and you want a family friend, anyone to join in and watch and support, make sure you head over to those socials and share it with all of them. So indeed, we've got one more practice session to go, I do believe. We finished the Senior Rotax practice session. They get 5 minutes of practice this morning, each class. We should have the 177 Rotaxes, I believe, so 5 more minutes of practice where we'll be seeing them heading around the circuit. And also, watch out for some dinosaurs. If you've never been to Rye House before, you might be wondering, why is there a Stegosaurus on my screen? They've got lots of different activities down here at Rye House and lots of different things to get involved with. Not only a fantastic kart circuit, but also some dinosaurs to get involved with as well. So if you've never been down to Rye House before, make sure you come down at some point, because it is a fantastic little venue. So loads of things to get involved with, not only for the adults, but for the kids as well. And I also know after watching the RHPK as well, they have the Senna Cup that mirrors that championship, and a lot of feeding through from there. And then also after that, there's races for kids as well. So loads of ways to get involved and to sort of go up the ranks here at Rye House and get involved in more professional karting until you get to this sort of level, something like the London Cup. A really, really high-level karting event, and the amount of drivers involved today is fantastic. I couldn't believe it how many people were here, and some big grids. Now, I did believe we had another practice session, but I have heard in my ear they definitely don't seem to be the 177s in the pit lane. They are a little bit too small to be the 177s. So I do believe that's actually the Bambino Comas. So whether we've missed out on the 177s or whether they ended up going earlier on in the day. Anyway, but it does sound like the drivers are going to be exiting the pit lane in just a second. And here they come then. So let's get involved. The first heat of the day for the 2022 London Cup. Of course, the Bambino Comas. Let's run you through the grid that was decided in yesterday's qualifying session. We've got Dewey Hockridge on pole position. Alongside him is Marley Wordy. Now, I know Marley Wordy won the Rye House IKR in this category, and he was so fast. He was so clear of the rest of the field. It was amazing to watch, but someone has pipped him to that pole position. So watch out for that number 77 there on pole. Row number 2 is Mason Munzer and Rex Michael Pooley. Row 3, Harry Chapman and Mason Hibbett. Row number 4 is Adam Galudi and Toby Biggs. Then row 5, James Carver and Leo Hunt. Row 6, John Stevens and Ollie West. Row 7, Alfredo Mengzin and Jensen Fathers. And then bringing up the rear of the field is Sophia Page in the number 14. Now you can see parents, guardians, mechanics all on the grid getting ready to go for this one. And of course, the Bambino Comas being a standing start here. You can see the spray. Look at that coming off the tyres. Definitely wet tyres to begin here for the first few heats. But as I say, this is where it's going to be interesting. When we get a few races in, we're not expecting any more rain. It's nice and blue skies at the moment. So when are drivers going to decide, okay, this is the time to switch to slick tyres? We may see a couple of races where some decide to stay on wet, some decide to go to slicks, and it could produce some interesting racing and some possible upsets here. But we're getting this grid set up. 15 drivers on the grid here for Bambino Coma Heat 1. And it's sure to be fantastic. There's the number 77 on the left-hand side of your screen. That's Dewey Hockridge. 48.676 for him in qualifying, alongside the number 11, Marley Wordy. 48.782. So just over a tenth of a second between the fastest two here on the grid for the Coma Bambinos. So we have indeed had a slight change in schedule, just a swap of the first two. Coma Bambinos coming first, and IAME Bambinos will be just after. But the drivers all getting set up now, looking forward to this 8-minute heat to kick off the day. And some beautiful lids on show as well, I must say. Dewey Hockridge's green lid looking fantastic. And we've got the thumbs up from the marshal at the back of the grid. The drivers look to the red lights, wait for them to go out, and once they do, they will be planting the throttle and will be getting the London Cup for 2022 underway. Here go the Bambino Comas, and Marley Wordy has had a very poor start there. Something may be wrong with the kart there. He drops almost right to the back of the pack. But here we go then, through the first couple of corners, through Stadium Bend, and now into Ridder's Elbow. Who is going to take the lead to start this one off? I do believe our pole sitter has taken it, but to the inside is looking for it. There's the 32, but hangs back for now anyway. You've still got 8 minutes ahead of you, so let's not throw it away at the start. Oh, a little bit wide there for the 31 there on exit. That's Rex Michael Pooley, but he dives back up the inside at the second hairpin, but then that sends him wide. He's going to be on a bit of a drag race. It's almost 3 wide now, heading down into pylon. Who's going to grab that second place? And it is the number 32 of Rex who takes that second place as they head through pylon. No, oh no, and Rex has spun it. The 32 just a little bit too much on that accelerator pedal there on exit, and has a little half spin, does Rex. So after a brilliant start, he's now dropped back down to the middle of the pack. So after lap 1, let's read you through your order. Mason Hibbert in the E-plate has taken to the front. Where did he start on the grid? He started in 6th place. What a start for Mason Hibbert. Takes to the front. Now being followed by Dewey Hockridge. Then it's Mason Munzer and Toby Biggs. And then James Carver, I believe, in 6th position. There is Mason Munzer in that 27 kart. The pink matching lid and kart combination. You love to see it. And he has been quick as well in the Rye House IKR as well. I remember seeing him up there always fighting for those sort of podium positions, does Mason. Here we follow him now through the pylon. And then Complex Nouvelle. He's got a couple of drivers breathing down his neck. That's Toby Biggs in the 65, James Carver in the 25 just behind. But there was your pole sitter, the number 77 of Dewey Hockridge. And here he comes across the line now. My apologies of who was the spinner. I was completely wrong. I believe it might have actually been Leo Hunt, possibly. I will double check that for you later on in the race, but getting my numbers confused already in the first heat. I do apologise. The 22 clearly has had a little spin, and that's the 65 who's had a bit of a spin. That's Toby Biggs from 5th place round Stadium Bend. Once again, these tricky conditions catching out some of these younger drivers, but manages to get back underway and get back in the race and has some time to get back involved. So there is the 31. That is Rex Michael Pooley in 2nd place. He was who I thought had that spin earlier. I'll take that back entirely. He has not spun. He is very much there in 2nd position. The 45 there as well. That's Alfredo Mengzin just recovering from a little spin. So these slower karts, they mean that the drivers can take a lot more speed into the corner. But in these conditions, of course, it's very different. You cannot take nearly as much speed, and so some of the drivers slightly over-egging it into the corner, just losing that back end. And with the low power of these karts, of course, to catch a slide, you want to stamp on the throttle, but there's really not much to give once you stamp on that throttle. So as soon as you begin to get into that half spin, it's very, very difficult to get out of it. Here's a little battle going on, though. This is for 5th place. Harry Chapman versus Mason Munzer here, heading down into hairpin 1. Currently going the way of the 32 of Harry Chapman. Mason Munzer tries to get a good line out of the corner and go up and under there, but doesn't quite work out this time around. Exiting hairpin 2 now. We're almost halfway through our first heat of the day. A warning's gone out to the number 22 of Ollie West. He's currently sat in 15th. Had a bit of a slow lap on that last one, so I think possibly a little incident for Ollie, and that might be why he's got his warning there. There they come then, exiting the final corner to start another lap. There's the 32 of Harry Chapman in 5th place. So they are definitely closing in on your 4th and 3rd place drivers. James Carver in the 25 and Dewey Hockridge in the 77. Dewey on pole position. Was very, very quick in the dry yesterday, and it's proving he's quick now in the wet as well. Down the inside, though, at hairpin 1 goes the 32. A little bit deep, could be got on the exit there, but no, manages to keep it together. Put the power down on exit and takes away the place. So Harry Chapman moves past James Carver and moves himself up into 4th position. And now has his sights set on that podium spot, as every extra position gives you some extra points towards your total, and that then decides the grid for the final. Mason Hibbert on the E-plate, still in the lead of this one. We haven't really seen him in this race so far, but it usually shows that you're having a pretty good race if the stream never really sees you. He's a good 3.5 seconds in the lead now. And we've only had 5 minutes of this race, so that's a really, really impressive lead to get in the heat. So the E-plate, definitely one to watch, especially from a 6th place start. But look at this, setting up the move is the 32, but watch out for the back marker. That's the 22 of Ollie West. Have to watch out for him. You don't want to get in an incident with a back marker. The back marker rejoining there and just about keeping out of the way of the leaders. So the 32 of Harry Chapman has to think about the move once again. Try and set it up in the last couple of minutes of this race. It seems like he has the pace to do so, though. Harry Chapman with the fastest lap of 56.849. Dewey Hockridge ahead at 57.318, so not quite able to find the same pace as Harry is during this one, which is very understandable. These changeable conditions are extremely difficult to deal with, and these drivers are incredibly young. To race in the Bambino Comas, you've got to be between 5 and 8 years old. That is crazy. I don't think I was doing anything nearly this cool at 5 to 8 years old. And look how quick they are. They're fantastic. Heading now down to the first hairpin once again. Thought about it once again, did Harry Chapman, but not proffering any moves. just yet. Anyway, it seems like they've been able to drop the drivers slightly further behind. And here is your second place man on screen. This is the 31 of Rex Michael Pooley. He's in a bit of no man's land at the moment, just a little bit off pace from your leader of Mason Hibbert, that's dropped him to about 4 seconds behind. But then he is about 1.5 seconds ahead of Dewey and Harry in third and fourth place. That was a spin for the 45 there. That's Alfredo Mengzin in 14th there. Managing to just about keep it out the barrier though, I believe, and is able to carry on. As the 31 now heads down towards hairpin 1 once again. Less than 1 minute to go here in heat number 1 for the Bambino Comas. The new fastest lap, actually, from our 8th place runner, Marley Wordy. So whatever happened at the start there for Marley, he's clearly worked it out. Whatever went wrong, Marley Wordy, of course, starting in P2 here. Oh, is that a move down the inside there at pylon? That's your E-plate. So he's just moving his way through the traffic. That is your leader on the E-plate. That's Mason Hibbert. But Marley Wordy started alongside Dewey Hockridge on that front row. Had a problem at the start there, dropped all the way to last place, but is managing to make his way through nicely, and indeed has that fastest lap, only a little bit faster than your leader that you're looking at now on that E-plate. In the last couple of laps as well, Dewey Hockridge had lost a couple of positions, had a bit of a slow lap on that last one, a 1:02, about 4 or 5 seconds slower than he should be, and Harry Chapman and James Carver have managed to slip their way through, as the leader goes a little bit wide there at hairpin 1, has to go round the barriers to re-enter. He's got a good 5-second buffer, so there's no need to push, Mason. There's no need. But the timer has indeed clicked to 0 now. And I shall check. I believe we should be going on to the last lap next time around, or possibly we'll take the checkered flag. We'll double check in this first heat. But Mason has nothing to worry about at the moment. As I say, over 5 seconds that gap at the front. And I do believe that we are going on to the last lap. So 950 metres to go for Mason here to maximise his points from the first race of the day. Of course, as I said earlier, a few of our classes have already had a heat yesterday that would be counting towards the total that will then take them through to the final, and we'll decide those grids for the final. However, Bambino Comas not being one of them. This is their first heat of the weekend. And it looks like Mason is going to be maximising his points. Marley Wordy's grabbed a couple more positions in that last lap, up to 6th place for the number 11. So he's going to be a bit gutted not to maximise the points here from the first heat, but clearly had some difficulties at the start of that one, and I know just how fast Marley Wordy is, so expect to see him up near the front in the next heat. But here comes Mason Hibbert across the line to take the win in heat number 1 in the Bambino Comas here at the 2022 Rye House London Cup. The 31 of Rex Michael Pooley comes across the line to finish in 2nd place. Over 6 seconds was the gap by the end of that. And oh no, the 20 of Jensen Fathers has pulled over to the side on the exit of hairpin 2 on the last lap of the race. 8 minutes, and it decides to give up the ghost on the final lap. That is far from ideal for the number 20. Jensen is going to be so frustrated with that, and he was lapping well as well. So I'm sure, hopefully, his mechanics can get him back underway and ready for heat number 2 later on today. A few more drivers now have crossed the line. Harry Chapman closed out the podium on the number 32, and it was James Carver in 4th, Mason Munzer in 5th place, then Marley Wordy getting back up into 6th, set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of 56.043 for Marley Wordy. Then number 7, Toby Biggs in the number 65. Then it was Dewey Hockridge, Adam Galudi and Sophia Page rounding out the top 10. That's a good race from her. Started in 15th, did Sophia, up into the top 10. Then John Stevens was 11th. Then Leo Hunt, Ollie West, Alfredo Mengzin, and of course Jensen Fathers not making it to the checkered flag at the end of that one. So frustrating there for Jensen, but hopefully, as I say, he can be out for heat number 2 later on. And those heat number 2s on our schedule anyway, supposed to start at around 11:45, and I believe that the Comas, we can assume, will start those off as well at 11:45. So If you're wanting to catch the comas, that's when they will next be out, but you don't want to turn off the stream, because even if you're supporting someone in the Bambino comas and you don't know anyone else in the other races, stick around anyway, because the racing is going to be fantastic, just as that race was. Of course, the younger drivers, a little bit more of a disparity, I would say, between the pace in the field, which I think is understandable. When you're that age, you're just starting to get involved with it, and your level of competency with racing, especially in these difficult conditions, can come on relatively quickly as you're building up your confidence. So it means that depending if someone's done maybe 4, 5, 6 months longer than you, it can really be quite the difference in confidence and strengths around the circuit. So as we work up the engine sizes and the age ranges as they continue to increase throughout the day, I think we'll see the disparity between pace continue to close. However, I say that, we've got the Honda Cadets coming up in a couple of races' time, and I know that they are always within a tenth of a second. We always have about 15 karts within a tenth of a second, and the slipstreaming is always fantastic. So the Honda Cadet final, that's definitely, it's usually one of my picks to watch during the day. The Honda Cadets are always fantastic. But before that, we've got another fantastic class. The IAME Bambinos Heat number 1 will be going out very shortly. So let's run you through your grid. A slightly smaller one than our Bambino comas, but still a good grid nonetheless. It's Charlie Page on the number 33 who's lining up on pole position. Darin Dimitrov lines up alongside. Behind him, it's Chester Fawkes and William Crombie and Oscar Kenny. Then it's Albert Farrow and Freddie Baker rounds out the 7 drivers that took to qualifying yesterday anyway that I can see. Pretty sure I'm counting more than 7 out there. Looks more close to 10 for me, so we'll just have to go off whatever it shows me on live timing. Indeed, we do have 10 drivers involved in this race, and that's why, because I'm looking at the wrong grid. This is the Micromaxes that we've got out at the moment, so my schedule is completely wrong. So let's see. I do not have a Micromax grid, I'm afraid, on my back end. So, well, back end of the website, I should say. That was terrible phrasing from me there. It's early morning here at my house. Give me a break. Right, the Micromaxes. Here we go then. Looks like it's Adam Turek on pole with Ella Lucia alongside, but we'll let you know after lap number 1 how they settle in. Here we go then to the first corner. Couple of drivers going slightly wide. They're nearly crossing that white line on exit, but managing to keep it on the black stuff and all facing the right direction now. Anyway, one driver, the 24, big slide there on exit, but keeps it all together. And a couple of drivers diving to the... we've got 2 drivers off, down at hairpin 1. One manages to get it going immediately, but another stuck in the grass. That's the number 20 who's stuck there. That's Max Wheatley. Went across the line in 2nd place at the start of this race. Now finds himself beached in the grass. Hopefully we'll see him continue, and he has indeed just left the grass with help from a marshal there. A couple of battles exiting. Pylon there. The number 37 holds on to it. That's Elliot Travis, someone I recognise from the Wilton Mill Kart Club on that 37 machine, but now gets overtaken down into the first corner by the 17. And through goes Jack Baker up into 2nd place. But Adam Turasek, he started on pole here and continues to hold the lead for now anyway. And there's a move down the inside late on the brakes there, dives to the apex and gets it done, but on the exit might get overtaken. We've got a driver slowing down. Looks like there's a yellow flag. I think some drivers haven't seen it. It's a red flag here at Rye House. A little bit of confusion there between some of the drivers. Some of them still very much involved in battles and didn't quite spot that red flag, but all the drivers now coming to a controlled, slow pace. And I believe that we're going for another start, as it looks like they're going 2 by 2. Whether we're going to come to a stop here, indeed we are. So I didn't spot an incident that would constitute a red flag to me, but clearly the officials deciding that we're in need of one, and they're getting a bit of a talking to. Just hear Rye House officials there, just letting them know how we're going to get this one restarted. I believe they're all going to be going back to their original grid order. I think I heard that. could be wrong. And it does look like that is exactly what is happening. So the 20 of Max Wheatley is going to be very, very happy with this change. Because Max, of course, had that little spin. We didn't actually catch it on camera, so I'm not sure if he was helped around there or whether he just had that spin on his own or avoiding another incident, because, of course, someone else spun down there as well. But either way, he's going to be very, very happy with that decision, because that puts him back onto the front row. So now they're being told, I can tell just from that hand signal that he was telling them, right, you've got to get this start done this time around, otherwise you'll be put to the back of the grid. That's exactly what we do at Wilton Mill Kart Club as well. You get 3 chances. On that third chance, if we call it a false start, then that is it. I believe we get 1 lap of warm-up here. So yes, indeed, we do. 1 lap of warming up for the drivers. And with those, what would that have been, about a minute and a half of slowdown and stopping and being talked to, those tyres, they already probably weren't particularly warm, being how chilly it is and how moist it is today at Rye House, but now they're going to be absolutely stone dead cold. So the drivers are going to have to try and get a little bit of heat as much as they can into the tyres before we go back to green flag conditions. But equally, that poses its own difficulties, because you don't want to spin it on the warming up lap. Firstly, because you look a very, very silly Billy. And secondly, because then you could not catch up and you could lose your starting position. I've done it myself. I've raced in British University's Karting Championship, and I've spun it on the warm-up lap in the wet. It's not the ideal place, and you feel like such an idiot. But all the drivers a lot better than me here today, so I wouldn't be expecting that from any of them. But here we go then, through the last couple of corners. Adam Turasek had a great start last time around. Let's see if he can do it once again. Max Wheatley and that 20 Kart lining up alongside. Here we go then, second time of asking to the green lights. And we're underway for the Micromax Heat number 1. To the inside goes the number 12. The 20 of Max Wheatley forced out wide there by a couple of drivers and now slots into third place. But look at that, round the outside for the number 11, Buddy Hugo. What a move! That was fantastic! Round the outside of 4 or 5 drivers there at the first corner and slots into 5th place, I think he is. What a start from Buddy Hugo, and a fantastic emphatic move from Buddy, and getting it all slidey out of hairpin 2 as well. Scratch that, he's not in 5th, he's in 4th place on that 11 numbered kart, and now hoping to chase down those leaders. There is your pole sitter on the 20. That's Max Wheatley. Sorry, he was on P2 on the grid, my apologies, of course, on the left-hand side of the grid, and that was how he just got forced out to the wide line, and that allowed for Ella Lucia to just dive up the inside and steal away that second place. Look to have a better line through that first corner, does Buddy Hugo. I mean, we saw him. He had an incredible line on that first lap, just seemed to have double the amount of grip as everyone else, and sent it all the way around the outside, and continues to be chasing down this leading pack. Ella Lucia all over the rear end of the leader there through the second hairpin. And now they file their way down through pylon. And now into Complex Newell. Buddy Hugo still getting it all sideways, finding out where that grip is. As we said a couple of times, it is continuing to dry here. It's not going to be drying too quickly because it is so cold. However, it will be drying, if indeed slowly. Now look at that, Buddy Hugo has realised, I don't want to give this away to other drivers, but he's realised that that outside line is so much quicker around that first corner than going that usual sort of mid to tight line to then hook up the second apex. If he comes all the way out wide, almost to the white line, and then cuts it back, it's so much faster. So Buddy Hugo has worked that out, but not quite within a shot of stealing that third place just yet. Still good pace from Max Wheatley on the number 20, but indeed Buddy Hugo with the fastest lap of the race so far. 47.600 for Buddy Hugo. And there's a little battle going on behind as well. That was between Jack Baker and Josh Cook for 6th place. We look back to this leading pack though. Once again, Buddy Hugo close, but not close enough here. As we've got a spinner, the 71, that's Elliot Dimolo. He's had a little spin there at the first corner, managed to get it back underway. Looks like no damage to the kart there. Rear bumper seems to be okay, so he won't be getting a mechanical flag. If that falls off, then that's a medium mechanical, has to return to the pits, and that is game over for this first heat. But that was looking all okay, so he continues to carry on. And was in 9th place when the spin happened, possibly now dropping down into P10. Here they come then, across the line. That's Ella Lucia that we see in the 25, in that fantastic pink helmet, contrasting with the green and white of the kart. Really stands out there, Ella, so you're making my job a hell of a lot easier, so I appreciate that. On the 25 kart, now being chased down by Max Wheatley and Buddy Hugo. Now, I think you'll find here, if the 20 of Max Wheatley can't find a way past too quickly, will that allow for Buddy Hugo to just set on that attack that he's been waiting for the last few laps? As we now tick almost over 4 minutes into this one, so nearly halfway done for heat number 1 here in the Micromaxes. A little check over the shoulder as he heads down the start-finish straight for Adam Turasek. Building a very nice gap out in the lead now, and I can imagine Ella is going to become... Oh, that's a lovely move there. Almost didn't spot it. It was so late. The number 11 of Buddy Hugo down the inside. Just as they headed to the second apex there through Stadium Bend, he just dived to the apex, opened the door, squeezed his way through, and made it stick. So up into the podium positions for Buddy Hugo. What I was going to say is that now I can imagine Ella Lucia is going to be thinking a lot more about the drivers behind than possibly Adam, who's still far ahead. But often it can be, if you start focusing behind you, that's often where you end up going. So she's got to try and focus ahead to Adam, although Adam is just slowly building out that lead. It was 1.5 seconds last time around. Now they come across the line, it's up to 1.8 seconds between the top two. Confirmed on your timing now, Buddy Hugo up to 3rd, and now has his eyes set on that 2nd place. A 3-way battle for 2nd now. He tries the up and under into the first hairpin, but thinks better of it. Late on the brakes from Max Wheatley behind, manages to keep it all under control, but no moves this time around anyway. If you're wanting to see the timing, if you want to get it up alongside our stream, or whether you're beside the circuit and just want to see what's going on the timing, head over to live.alphatiming.co.uk/RYE. Of course, that's RYE. And that will give you all of the live timing for today's action. And then to get all of the results once that action is finished, if you head to results.alphatiming.co.uk/RYE. So results.alphatiming for the results, live.alphatiming for the live timing, and you'll be able to find everything you need over there. But obviously have that alongside the live stream as well, because otherwise you're going to miss out on the action. We're seeing it firsthand here, and Buddy Hugo is all over the back of the 25 of Ella Lucia. He's only got 2 minutes to try and squeeze a move here. Oh, I thought he was going to go to the outside there, and Ella hadn't seen. That could have been an incident there, but well thought out by these young drivers, and well planned by Buddy there. Saw exactly what was going to happen and immediately pulled out of the move, because there's no point in throwing everything away for just one extra position, especially when you're in the first heat of the day. Because although these heats don't give you any sort of trophies or anything like that, it's all building up towards the final. You want to be consistent throughout the day, build up those positions, build up your point score, and that means that you can be on a good grid spot and within a shot of that London Cup for your category, for your classification of cars. Now Buddy thought about it once again there, just looking at the apex, and goes wide there in the wall. That was a big incident for Buddy and for the 20 behind him, Max Wheatley. Max, nothing he could do there. Hopefully Buddy is okay. That was quite the accident there for Buddy Hugo. I hope he's all right. Hopefully we can get some marshals over to him as soon as possible. That was quite the incident there. He gets pulled off of, and he's completely broken his front left wheel, has Buddy. Has completely been ripped off of the car. You saw there, he tried to just keep the speed on as he exited the corner. It was just a little bit too much. He got on the curb on the outside, which is obviously much wetter than the black stuff, and that just fired him off into the wall on the outside there. So quite the incident for Buddy Hugo there. We just hope he is all okay. Of course, collected by the number 20 of Max Wheatley as well. So hopefully they're all okay as well. I believe I'm being told in my ear that there is indeed a red flag, and yes, I can see it out of my window now. red flag called on this race. With only 26 seconds to go, I would assume that we will call the results there. But yeah, not the best way to end that heat there. You never like to see an incident like that, but definitely a racing incident there. Just went a little bit wide, did Buddy, no fault of his own. Got on the slippery stuff on the outside, and that is where his and Max's race sadly came to an end. But as long as they are okay, and we'll hopefully see them out for heat number 2 later on today. But once again, let's just hope they're all okay. Now looking back to the rest of the field, that is your number 12. Adam Turasek, he is still, well, in the lead. We're going to have to see how this one plays out. I'm not sure if we will simply call the result there as they went across the line last time, or whether we will go for one more lap, and it looks like on the timing it has been called as end. So I'll wait for that just to be confirmed, with the drivers going back to the pit lane rather than taking another race start. But I think we can call it there as a race win for Adam Turasek. And a very deserved one for that anyway. About 2.7 seconds in the lead was Adam over Ella Lucia, who was having a good race as well, was fending off Buddy and Max very nicely, despite Buddy and Max possibly having just a tad, maybe a tenth or two per lap more pace. She was doing a brilliant job at keeping them behind and not allowing for that door to open at any point. So a brilliant race from Ella as well. We look forward to seeing them all back out. But indeed, we are indeed in a red flag here. Welcome to anyone that has just joined the stream. If you've been watching for the last few minutes, we've come to a stop here at Rye House under a red flag. We had a little bit of an incident out of hairpin 2 with Buddy Hugo and Max Wheatley just coming together. And now those drivers being tended to at the side of the circuit, and the marshals just dealing with the barrier and the carts not looking too fantastic. However, with it just being damage to the front left of Buddy Hugo's car, you would hope that that wouldn't be too much damage, and then that means they'll be able to get his mechanics will be able to get him out for heat number 2 later on today. And there we can see a lovely, is that Stu Stretton? It looks like Stu Stretton, big man Stu Stretton out here at Rye House today, taking some photos. They're always fantastic. Stu is, of course, a lovely, lovely man. So great to see him out at Rye House, getting those lovely shots. I'm sure you can find him on social media, and you'll be able to find any shots of yourself, whether you've been racing or your child or the person that you mechanic for, whoever. They'll be able to take some. He'll be able to give you some fantastic photos that you can then get framed. And of course, what's coming up? Christmas. What's a better present than a photo of you going 70 miles an hour down the Rye House circuit? And look at that. We've got filled to the brims the stands here at Rye House. A little wave from everyone. Hello, welcome to the circuit. Braving the cold conditions today here at Rye House. But luckily for themselves, it's not raining. To be fair, that grandstand does have some sort of covering, but I know from being here previously when it's been raining sideways that hasn't helped too much. But luckily today, still bright blue skies and still supposed to be throughout the day as well. So, but you can see multiple layers on those people sat there in the stands. So just keep it nice and warm, and that's what we've got to do. But of course, if you're here at the circuit and you are getting a little bit chilly, we do have the cafe over on, well, the other side of the circuit from me. I am upstairs in race control, but over on the other side of the circuit, the main building, you can find the cafe, and you can grab yourself a little hot beverage, a little snack. I know they do lots of food and stuff over there as well, so if you get a bit peckish, you need some fuel to power you through some afternoon and morning of racing, then make sure you head over there and keep yourself warm, keep yourself hydrated, and keep yourself raring and ready to go. Well, once again, still under red flag here. It looks like we've actually been able to clear those carts off of the circuit now, so they're up and over the other side of the tyre barrier. And we should hopefully be getting back to racing relatively shortly. Once again, keeping themselves warm, a nice cup of coffee. People standing beside the circuit. But as I say, there's so much going on here at Rye House. It's fantastic. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. And I know from previous watching myself how big the London Cup event is, but I've never been here in person, and it is just fantastic to see this track, just a hive of activity. And of course, why would it not be? The racing has been fantastic. There we can see some more drivers in the pit lane. Some of our young drivers, definitely. Alongside some of our older drivers as well, you can see making their way off. I think that's Kyle Dunford in that ASR little number. But once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome, or if you're here by the circuit, welcome as well. Make sure you head over to Motorsport Radio. We're live on Motorsport Radio on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook. And of course, make sure you subscribe or follow, or whichever platform you're on, whatever they decide to call it. Subscribe, follow, share, make sure you get all involved and you're sharing it with anyone you think could be interested, because this is top level karting here, top level British karting. And if you ever want to get someone involved and get their appetite whetted for brilliant British kart racing, this is the event to share, and this is the stream to share. Of course, alongside Motorsport Radio, of course, it's on the Rye House YouTube and the Rye House Facebook page as well. Make sure you drop those, a subscribe, a like, a share, a follow, whatever you need to do. As we say, a couple of drivers making their way back to the pits, a couple of drivers making their way to the collecting area. There's one of our older drivers out. And sort of with the schedule, we sort of go from youngest to oldest, really, with how it works. And it looks like we're going to get one of our younger ones underway very shortly. Now, I'm just trying to work out which grid this actually is, because they look very much like Bambino Comas, but we've already had Bambino Comas, so possibly the IAME Bambinos out next. Of course, we've had the Sony Micromaxes now. That was the race that came to an end slightly abruptly there after an incident between two of the drivers. So that was Sony Micromax Heat number 2. They, of course, had a heat yesterday. That's their second heat of the weekend. And indeed, this is the Bambino IAMEs out for their first heat of the weekend. As we said earlier, a slightly smaller grid for this one, but I can still imagine it's going to be great racing. We've got Charlie Page on the 33 plate car. He lines up on pole position. It's Darren Dimitrov in P2. Then it's Chester Fawkes behind, and William Crombie rounds out row number 2. Row 3 is Oscar Kenny and Albert Farrow, and rounding out your grid of 7 drivers is Freddie Baker. He is on the number 92 car. Now, I do believe, yes, indeed, there are parents and mechanics down on the grid, so we're going for another standing start here for the IAME Bambinos. Of course, we had a standing start for the Coma Bambinos, then we went back to a rolling start for the Sony Micromaxes, and now we're back again to a standing start for the IAME Bambinos. Seven drivers in total taking to the grid. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, Charlie Page, the number 33, lining up in pole position. A 43.617 was his fastest lap yesterday. And he was a good 10th or 2 clear, I believe, at the front. Indeed, 0.2 of a second faster than Darren Dimitrov, who lines up alongside in that 65 plated car. But still close on pace between all the drivers involved in this one. As I say, 7 drivers involved. Let's see how this one plays out. We get the thumbs up, the drivers look to the lights. And off we go then. Good start from the second row. Actually, the 38 moves to the inside. See if he can challenge for the lead here, and does. Forces his way through. Up the inside goes Chester Fawkes and takes to the lead already. Through the first corner, Chester to the lead. Under pressure for second place already is the 33 as well, but manages to hold on to it. Goes to the inside, shows a bit of wing, or a bit of bumper, as you would say in karting, and keeps on to that second place. But as I say, the 38 of Chester Fawkes to the front. Checks over his shoulder, can see Charlie Page right behind him. But what a start from Chester Fawkes. Read that start beautifully, and had clearly the best reaction times of the field, and goes from third to first in a matter of meters. But we come to the end of lap number 1. Still Chester in the lead, but right in the wheel tracks no longer is the 33 of Charlie Page. He goes to the inside already, makes the move stick, but up and under goes Chester Forks, and back through he goes. What a battle we've got on our hands here for 8 minutes in the IAME Bambinos. He might try it back down the inside, but thinks better of it, does Charlie Page. So he grabbed at it at the first opportunity, just allowed himself to run a little bit too wide through that first corner, and Chester read it beautifully, went up and under and back through. Yeah, no problem. Here we are then, back at Rye House. Welcome once again. And of course here for the 2022 London Cup. A little bit of technical difficulties, as I say. Apologies about that. If you're watching the stream and suddenly it goes and you're refreshing, where has it gone? It was on our end, our apologies. A little bit of a power cut. Never ideal when you're trying to do live streaming. You very much need electricity, but here we go. We're back underway, and we've sadly missed the Bambino IAMEs. Charlie Page did take the win by 3.2 seconds there in that last one. So we saw him before we sadly had to cut away, and we lost all power. He was having a great battle with Chess to get his way through, and then pulled away by a very, very decent margin. Chester Forks then managed to defend from Darren Dimitrov. They had less than 0.2 of a second between them by the time they got to the checkered flag, but it was indeed that way round. Chester taking second, Darren in third. Oscar Kenny ended up in fourth place. He was followed by Albert Farrow, and Freddie Baker and William Crombie rounded out the 7 runners who all took to the start and all took to the finish there. So good to see no one ending up in the barrier or having to pull off due to a mechanical. So that's it for the heat number 1 for the Bambino IAMEs. Once again, apologies about the power cut. Nothing we can really do about things like that. Things happen, and we get on with it, and we're back underway. So once again, the live stream is back up and running. If you head over to Motorsport Radio on YouTube or on Facebook and Twitch, you can get involved. Make sure you share it with all your friends and family, and also over on the Right House YouTube and Facebook as well. But here we go then, another set of drivers leaving the pit lane. We're going for the Rotax 177s, heat number 2. They had their first heat yesterday. And here we go then, I found the grid for this upcoming race. It's Darren Sadler who will be on pole for this one. Alongside him on the front, row 3 is Nicholas Walker and George Hunter. Row 4, Lee Todd and Tom Thompson. Row 5, Richard Allison and Joe Hunt. Row number 6, Reese Fluin. I'm going to go with that. I know you're Welsh, Reese, I do apologise. Then it's Hayden Carter, John Cornell, Chris Rance, Gordon Chenelly and Dimitri Mandrick. But here we go then, round the final corner. The Rotax 177s not waiting around for anyone. Yes, we are. We're going to go round again. I lied. I tell a little bit of a fib there. I do apologise. We're going to go around for one more lap. So I did run through that last bit of the field quite quickly. My apologies. But indeed, Reese in 11th. Just getting a little speaking to from the officials. Of course, the 177s being called the Rotax 177s, not because they're a different kart, actually very similar, I believe, identical to the senior Rotaxes. However, 177 is because that is the combined weight in kilograms, the minimum weight that it must be when combined with the kart and the driver. They must be at least 177 kilos altogether. So, as I quite like to call them in the Right House IKR, the big boys are back in town. And they'll be heading for their race start shortly. 16 drivers in total on this grid for their second heat of the weekend, first heat of the day. Once again, 8 minutes in length plus 1 lap, as are all of the heats and the finals today. Of course, in the IKR, if you are used to that and you watch that, there are, of course, 7-minute heats and 8-minute finals. Today, all 8 minutes. And as you can see from that camera angle, the sun is shining, but it looks like, hopefully, are we going to go around for one more lap? Or are we getting the race started? It looks like, from the fact that no one's diving to the apex, we are indeed going to go for one more warm-up lap. So another excuse to warm those tyres. However, I think they're being told by the race officials to stay in 2x2 and keep it tidy on these warm-up laps. So it is a little bit difficult when you're boxed in like that to warm up those tyres. We've already had a little bit of a spinner there. It's at the 73 having a little spin. That's from relatively high up as well. That's Richard Allison, supposed to be starting in P9 for this race. He's making his way back through, and I think he should just about have enough time to rejoin the pack. Whether he's going to try and get back to his desired grid position or not, though, doesn't look like it. I have managed to exit out of my live timing link because I am very, very stupid. But here we go then. To the green light go the Rotax 177s, and who's going to be leading through into the first corner? Looks like your pole sitter has indeed taken the lead. That's Daniel Gibbs going to the front, but lots of scrapping going on in behind. Nearly 3 and 4 wide there on exit, and dive to the lead on the inside. That's the 65 of Ryan Taylor-Truman. Go for it, and we've got a couple of spinners exiting Reggie's elbow, one to the infield, one to the outfield, but both of them keeping out of the barriers. That was close from the 27, I think that was Nicholas Walker down in 4th or 5th place, and we've got another driver going wide there, exiting hairpin 2. It's all kicking off here. That was George Hunter, who went a little bit wide at hairpin 2, just got hung out to dry and lost 3 or 4 positions there, but manages to rejoin the pack, and you can see him there in the yellow kart, now stealing away that position from the 38. Is that Daniel Gibbs? Is that Daniel Gibbs? Has he fallen out of the order? Yes, he has. So Daniel Gibbs went to the lead at the first corner from his pole position start. Now, by the end of lap number 1, drops to P7. There's a 63 of Cornell going to the inside. Oh, just getting squeezed to the apex there does John Cornell. And down the inside, what a move for second place is that. No, I think that's for third. That's Hayden Carter in the number 8 who's gone through on Nicholas Walker, but now goes wide at hairpin 2. It's going to have a little bit of touch on the inside. John Cornell now trying to find his way through, but can't quite do it and has to just stick in behind for now. Anyway, what a race start in the 177s here, and it doesn't look like it's going to let up for another 6.5 minutes. But Daniel Gibbs clearly having an issue on that first lap. A couple of seconds slower than the karts around him and dropped down to 7th place. Let's see if he can work his way back up the order at all. Oh no, actually drops a couple more positions on that last lap, now down to 10th. And John Cornell getting even more scrappy there through the first corner. Now looks like he could lose a position as down the inside tries it. The number 50 is going to send it, gets it nicely done on the brakes there. And through goes George Hunter. So George Hunter now up to 5th place. Oh, is that your leader? Is that your leader going wide? No, that's Tyler Kelsey in 2nd place. My apologies. But Tyler Kelsey a little bit wide there on exit of hairpin 2. And now has Hayden Cater for company. You can see your leader there actually leaving the shot. There he is going through your shot now, but we're looking at the 2nd place battle. The number 8 really piling the pressure on is Hayden Cater. And Tyler Kelsey clearly feeling that pressure, but not feeling it enough. He's holding on to the position for now anyway. And he's got a great exit off of that 2nd corner through Reggie's elbow. But to the inside goes the 3rd place man. A little bit of side-to-side contact there. And through he goes. So the number 8 of Hayden Cater does take 2nd place, but not for long. Back down the inside goes the 19 and retakes 2nd goes Tyler Kelsey. But look at this. We've gone from a 2-way battle for 2nd now to a 4, possibly even 5 kart battle for 2nd place. Wide for Tyler Kelsey there once again on exit, but retakes the position. And we're going to go on to another lap here in the Rotax 177s. In IKR, they were brilliant racing with only 5 or 6 of them. Now, there's 5 or 6 of them battling over 2nd place. To the inside once again, it goes to the number 8 of Tyler Kelsey. Sorry, of Hayden Cater on Tyler Kelsey, but Tyler Kelsey tries to go up and under there side by side through Reggie's elbow. Puts the hand up to say thank you very much. Does the number 8, and through he goes. Finally gets it done. They're nearly 3 wide in the background there for 6th place. Up the inside, I think that was Tom Thompson getting involved as well. But there's the move for 3rd place. Number 50 of George Hunter made his way through on John Cornell earlier a couple of laps ago, and now through up into 3rd place. So the podium positions all changing on this last lap. And who's that now getting involved? Oh, back through goes to number 19. No, he doesn't. Just held off is the number 50, and all of this battling is just allowing for your leader, the number 65 of Ryan Taylor-Truman, to just walk off with this win. He's got nothing to worry about out in front. He's put the pace down. He set the fastest lap of the race, a 43.916, and finds himself 5.5 seconds in the lead now. So he really doesn't need to worry about what's going on behind him, but we certainly do. Look at this battle hotting up. I think this is 4th place backwards now that we're looking at. Oh, a little bit late down the inside there, managed to get it stopped on the brake, so no contact given, but now could lose it on exit as they head down into pylon. There is your leader continuing through onto another lap. And here we look back to this battle. There's 2nd, there's there was 3rd and 4th. There is your 2nd place man in the background now. So Hayden Cater is now just over 5 seconds. He is reeling him in. 3.5 minutes to go. So still under half of this race to go. We've had incredible amounts of action, and we've barely even scratched the surface here. But a new fastest lap for P2, Hayden Cater in the number 8. He's now reading in our leader, but on exit there, John Cornell getting caught up in it. And I believe that was Tom Thompson just trying to find his move, but ends up losing 1 position. Possibly Welch Reese in the number 6 has gone through, as I believe, was that a back marker who was pulling off to the side there? I think it was, just getting out of the way. But they're going to go side by side through the first couple of corners. The 27 is trying it to the inside. That's Nicholas Walker and Tyler Kelsey battling over now 4th position. And Tyler holding on to it nicely. It can be a bit of a scary one when you're going through such a high-speed corner and someone's on your inside there. If they get a little bit of understeer, they're going straight into you. But luckily, that not happening. A little bit wide there. That could open the door. They're going to go side by side once again down towards pylon. But again, the inside line is not going to prove fruitful this time. The outside line takes it, and that is the 27 of Nicholas Walker through into 4th place. Now under pressure is Tyler Kelsey from John Cornell. John Cornell was trying it around the outside through Complex Duvel. That's definitely not an overtaking position we see very often, and it has not worked out this time around. This battle for 4th, though, seriously hotting up now, and the fastest lap now goes to George Hunter in 3rd place, a 43.496. So these Rotax 177s clearly finding the grip that is there to be found out on circuit as we continue to dry up here at Rye House after this morning's slight rainfall. But who's that? That's Welsh Reese, I believe, on the number 6. Indeed, the full black car and black helmet. If you've ever been to Team Sport, you hear them talking about the Dark Carter. That is Reese there in 7th position currently. He is the Dark Carter, but he's racing fantastically well so far in this one. Still just over a minute to go now. So we've got a few more laps left to go here, but fastest lap now goes back to Ryan Taylor Truman, 43.134. So they're getting faster lap on lap on lap here. Oh, I thought that was a late move up the inside for John Cornell. It was in the background, though. That's Welsh Reese looking to be overtaken, but gets a great run on the exit there. So Tom Thompson tried it, but the switchback of dreams from Welsh Reese allowed him to hold on to position. But there is John Cornell making the move finally on Tyler Kelsey. Tyler Kelsey does fight back, though. They are going to go side by side, but a good exit from John Cornell sees him seal that position up into P5 for John Cornell. So after a good start for Tyler Kelsey, just getting swamped a little bit through this second part of the race, but still fending off these drivers nicely as John Cornell does go wide, collects the 19 of Tyler Kelsey as he re-enters the circuit. However, they both keep facing in the straight line, but Welsh Reese sees that door open, tries it, but Tyler's going to get a good exit off of the corner and keep the position. I don't know where to look in this battle. There's so much going on, and then we've now got drivers I haven't even mentioned in this race now beginning to get involved at the back of this pack. But to confirm, this is still now the battle for 6th place. And behind Reese is still Tom Thompson. No, it's not. That does not look like his car anymore. I think it might be Joe Hunt is now involved behind now. It is indeed the 66 of Joe Hunt. He's been very quick in the Rye House IKI. He's going to dive to the inside of the first corner. That was hair-raising stuff from Joe Hunt. But back down the inside tries Welsh Reese. A bit of sideboard-to-sideboard contact. But through goes Joe Hunt. And he makes it done. So now we're on to the last lap. My apologies. We are indeed on the last lap. And here is the 65. Ryan Taylor Truman, once again, a leader we've not had to speak much about, and that's always a positive in my book, as he's led a storming race and takes the win here in heat number 1 for Rotax 177s with the fastest lap in hand as well. There's Hayden Cater, comes across the line in 2nd place with George Hunter right on his tail to finish out in P3. There's Nicholas Walker, comes across the line in 4th, and look at this run to the line between Hunt and Kelsey, and it is Hunt who just about grabs it there at the line. Before them, indeed, it was Nicholas Walker 4th, John Cornell 5th, but that was Joe Hunt grabbing 6th place at the line away from Tyler Kelsey. Their battle through the last couple of laps was fantastic to watch, with Welsh Reese coming in 8th place there, and Tom Thompson in 9th and Chris Rance rounding out the top 10. They were followed by Lee Todd and Gordon Chenley, Daniel Gibbs, Dimitri Mandrick, and then Richard Allison, who rounded out the 15, but sadly Richard not making it to the finish there in that race, only completing 5 laps before having to pull off of the circuit. So there you see the drivers, once they've finished their race, going through to scrutineering, just to be double checked, especially in a class like this. The weight is important here, so some random checks going on between drivers, just to make sure that all is fair, as I'm sure it always is. No one trying anything too cheeky. And I have just seen on the live timing that Richard Allison came in because of a mechanical flag on lap number 5, so clearly something going wrong with the kart there during the race. I didn't notice it from my vantage point, sadly, but hopefully nothing too terminal, and we'll be seeing Richard out later on today. That is another heat completed for the morning. Heat number 2 of Rotax 177s done and dusted. some of our younger drivers out once again. By my considerably patchy karting knowledge. I've been doing commentary for a year now and still I'm a little bit ropey on occasions, but I'd like to back myself. I do believe those look like IAME karts to me. So, as we've already had the IAME Bambinos, I do believe next out, it looks like it's going to be the IAME Cadets. As it doesn't look like we have IAME Cadets on the schedule, so that shows how good my karting knowledge is. Is it definitely junior Rotaxes? You are indeed correct in my ear. Oh, are they? Let's have a look on the live timing. Yes, you are correct. Don't doubt yourself, Mr. Producer. Junior Rotaxes are indeed out onto the circuit. I knew they were some of our younger drivers, but not crazy young. Junior Rotaxes, of course, I believe, if I double check my notes, Junior Rotaxes 12 to 16 years old. Junior Rotax drivers. So, definitely getting more experience, but still not with huge amounts of experience. Junior Rotax Heat number 1, there we go. This is what we're looking for. It's Bradley Keaton who lines up on pole on the 53 plate. Alongside him, Jake Riches. At least that's what I've got on my... what I've got written down. It doesn't look like those numbers are actually there at the front though, so let's just count you through as we go to green light. The 88 of Jugas Pavionis is there. Oh, someone already taken to the grass there at the start. That's the 66 in the background, but managing to get it back onto the black stuff and continue. That was the lead of the 14. Paulo Nunes Aranda has a little spin, and we've got another spin there down into the barrier to the infield. 3 or 4 more off a hairpin one as well. So all chaos ensuing here at the start, and your leader Paulo Nunes Aranda led us away there at the start. Finds himself facing wrong direction out of Reg's elbow. Must have just hit a bit of a wet patch there on the outside. I can see from my vantage point, as soon as you get off the racing line, it is very, very wet. So clearly got on the wet stuff there and just found himself having a little pirouette. And now down in 15th position for Paulo Nunes Aranda. Still Jugas Pavlionis. I'm going to get that pronunciation right, mate, I promise. He's still at the front, but here's a battle. The 77 is that's Milo Manderson making a move on Rio Ramadan. And through he goes. Here we look back to the front. As late on the brakes there. With the driver looking to the inside. A good exit for the driver behind as well. That's the 21 pressuring. That's Jake Riches. Tries that outside line, but to the inside goes 74. He gets a good run. They're going to be side by side through Complex Duvel, but has to give it back up again. Isn't quite on the right line, but gets a good exit and goes side by side once again down the start-finish straight, and will have the inside line for the first corner. And through goes the 74 of Joseph McVie up to second place, but up and under tries the driver behind it, gets the nose just in there, squeezes his way through, but doesn't quite make it stick, and that opens him up to an attack for the 21 behind. To the inside goes the 21 of Jake Riches. Through he goes. It's going to get forced out wide once again. So Joseph McVie, after making a great overtake, now loses 2 positions, possibly even 3 because of that. And now under pressure as well again. So maybe even 4 positions. Oh, the 21 off in the barrier, into the barrier. That's a big incident down at Pylon. Once again, just got into the wet stuff and off into the barriers. And a little bit of a collection there from another kart just coming through, not noticing the incident. But luckily, only a glancing blow from that kart who got involved as well. Driver's still barreling through Pylon, guys. We need to be respecting those yellow flags. Driver's perched in quite a dangerous position there. But that crash unfolded very quickly. The 21 of... they've gone off my timing. Jake Riches, of course. Jake Riches just got a little bit slidey there through Pylon. Possibly took a little bit too much speed in, possibly just hit a wet patch. We don't know what happened there, but you saw him get all crossed up with the steering as we entered into the corner, got it all sideways, and as soon as he hit the barrier, the kart behind him, Bradley Keaton, just had nowhere to go and ended up collecting him. Now it looks like on the timing that the 22 of Eric Wilk didn't finish the last lap, but I thought I saw him going round earlier, so possible, and collecting the front end of Bradley Keaton. But all 3 of those drivers now out of the race. I think Eric Wilk ended up going back to the pit lane after that one as his his kart was crabbing quite a bit, so never an ideal way to drive your kart. Let's look back to the action out on track. Is he in third, or has he made his way to second now? No, he is still in third. It's William Murphy in the 96 who's behind and pressuring, and now trying to get in front, goes to the inside through the first corner and gets it done. That was a very, very tidy move from the number 96 there. And makes it stick, so up into the podium spots for the number 96. And now the 77 of Milo Manderson under pressure from Jensen Powers in that 16, with the drivers getting told to slow down to go through this pylon section. Most of the karts now been able to get moved off the circuit, now behind some barriers at least, but still Marshall's still on circuit, getting the barriers back into position, so we've got to make sure we are being nice and safe. Safety priority. As all that's a little bit wide there, but it's slippy from the 77. Could he open himself up for a move? Tries it, does the 16, but once again, the 16 of Jensen Powers can't get the power down. Pardon the pun. On the exit there, and Slidey once again could open himself up to a move here from the 20 of Rio Ramadan. He was up in the podium positions earlier on this race, slightly slipped down the order, but now getting himself back involved once again. As the amount of steering angle there through pylon, now into complex Duvel, the amount of steering angle the drivers have on, just trying to get any sort of purchase, as it's still clearly very, very slippery out there on track. And you can still see the spray coming off of the drivers' tyres. As wide once again for the 77. He manages to cut it back much better than he did last time though. He keeps the power down and not allowing for any sort of sniff of a move for Jensen Powers. And holding on to fourth place for now. Anyway, look at this though. Is this the battle for second? It is indeed. And through goes William Murphy. So William Murphy prizes that door open down at hairpin 2 and is able to get the exit power he needs to power past Oliver Sander. And William Murphy now up into that second place spot, and with the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 43.598. A few warnings coming through on my timing as well. A number for today, we've got 3 warnings for Oliver Sander, 2 warnings for William Murphy, 1 warning for Milo Manderson, and 2 warnings for Jensen Powers. So drivers just getting a little bit feisty in this heat number 2 for Junior Rotax. So of course their first heat of the day, so understandable, you want to do as well as possible, but still got to keep it on the black stuff and keep it respectful between your fellow drivers. Here is the 77 of Milo Manderson. Jensen Powers has managed to make his way through now up into 4th place. You can see him just exiting the shot there, going down onto the start-finish straight. Now Milo finds himself under pressure from Rio Ramadan. Moves over to the inside to cover off. Heavy on the brakes there. You see the back of the kart just kicking out. But he's able to take that wide line, cut back and get that power down nicely. Rio Ramadan just falling off slightly through those couple sections of corners. Looks to the inside there, I think more because there might be some more grip there rather than because he's actually thinking about the overtake. Less than 1 minute left to go now in this race. Likely 2 more laps after this one, I would have said. It's going to be pretty close, to be honest, on the timing, but I'll try and keep you updated as we continue to watch this battle for 5th place. Still raging on between Milo Manderson and Rio Ramadan. Rio Ramadan setting his personal best on the last lap, so clearly pushing as hard as he possibly can to try and steal those couple of extra points that will then put him in a better stead for that final later on this afternoon. Here is your leader though, the 88 of Jugas Travalonis. I will do my best with that pronunciation throughout the day, my apologies. But the 88 has had, once again, we've seen it in a number of races today, brilliant battling throughout as we now head on to the last lap of the race. There's been brilliant battling throughout, but a leader who has just been able to fly off. And although William Murphy, fastest lap of the race last time around in second place, a 43.380, He's reeled in Dugas down to less than 3 seconds the gap now, but considering we've got only a good 400 meters to go, it's just a little bit too late to be able to do anything. You see William in the back of the shot there. He's had a fantastic race, but he has had to battle his way through the pack, whereas Dugas has managed to lead his way from the front, and he's done it in fantastic style. He's going to confirm himself maximum points from heat number 2 here today. Puts his finger up in delight and takes P1 here for heat number 2. William Murphy sees second place, followed by Oliver Sander, who rounds out the podium positions. Behind him was Jensen Powers, and Milo Manderson does indeed hold off Rio Ramadan there for 5th place. Rio in 6th, then Daniels Kuranox. He was definitely one to watch from the Rye House IKR, so watch out for him in later races. He ended up in P7, and it was Liam Phillips in 8th place, then Joseph McBee in 9th, and Paulo Nunes Aranda, fair play, ended up in P10 after we saw him pirouette from the lead on the opening lap at Reg's Elbow. Spent quite some time being stuck on the grass as well, so to be able to fight his way back up to P10, it's an impressive job there. Jack Gillingham ended up in P11. He was followed by Shaquille Joseph in P12. And then, of course, we had our 3 drivers who did not make it to the flag after that incident on lap 2. Eric Wilk classified in 13th. Jake Richards classified 14th. And Bradley Keaton in 15th position. All 3 of them, well, Bradley Keaton and Jake Richards being involved with the initial kerfuffle that ended up with them in the barrier on the outside of pylon, and then Eric Wilk coming round just a little bit too quickly, catches the front bumper of Bradley Keaton, and that then sends him off into the barrier on the outside of the corner. But that's it for Junior Rotax heat number 2. We'll of course be seeing them out later today for their heat number 3 and their final. But I can tell, okay, my karting knowledge is a little bit better for this one. They are definitely Honda Cadets, which will be going out next. So let's see if we can get the grid up for this next race. Although I know exactly why that was wrong last time, so I'm going to hope that this is definitely going to be correct. And once again, Honda Cadet, a standing start for this one. As I think so, anyway, at least. I can't see anyone coming out onto the grid, so I'm going to hope so. But indeed, let's see if we can spot the numbers. So the number 2 seems to be leading, so indeed, we should be right. That number 2 is, of course, Mr. Kenzo Craigie. What a quick driver Kenzo is. Brilliant to see him here for the London Cup. Alongside him is Charlie Wolford. Now, this is a big grid, so let's try and run this through as quickly as possible. Row number 2, Oliver Mieski and Cole Denham. Row 3, Luke Holmes-Ballack and Hayden Fisher. Row 4, Thomas Hill and Finney Lyons. Row 5, Oliver Spencer and John Richardson. Row 6, Fenton Stoneman and Ayrton Rye. Row number 7, Ethan Okoro and Connor J. Winfield. Then row 8, Kean Sullivan and Albie Smith. Row 9, Sergio Verts and Harry Samuel. Rounding out the top 20, Ashley Haas and Elliot Burke. Then behind them, Samir Paul, Ernest Hanger, Arthur Way, Ian Paul, Dylan Redding, Zach Hunt, Dylan Suresh, Benedictas Mazio. The 29 drivers on this grid for Honda Cadet Heat number 1. I said earlier, Honda Cadets usually my choice when we're going into a day for what I think could possibly be best race of the day. Now, we've seen a number of brilliant races already today. So let's see, let's hope that the Honda Cadets can live up to their usual potential. But there, on the left of your shot, the number 2 car, Kenzo Craigie, lines up on pole position. A very well-known name amongst British karting. And I look forward to seeing what he can do out on circuit today in these continuing changeable conditions. But you can see there, you can still see how wet it is. And you can see all the drivers very much still on those wet tyres. Looks like we might be good to go for this race start though. Honda Cadet Heat number 1, they're going to look towards the lights very shortly. The revs will rise as they do now. They wait for that green light to go out, and it does now. Here we go. The heat number 1 in the Honda Cadet. forced to the grass almost as the 95, but look at that, the number 10 of Oliver Mieski dives to the lead and takes it at the first corner. Kenzo Craigie got a bit hung out to dry there. We've now got almost 4 wide going through Reggie's elbow. The drivers trying to force their way through, take as many positions as they can. 1 now down into hairpin 2. A little dive down the inside there in the mid-pack. That was a good move, but that's going to force them wide, and that's going to allow them to go 5 wide on the exit, heading now down into pylon. Who was it? It was the number 1 who sent that cheeky move. That was Cole Denham. Started a bit higher up now. Complex Nouvelle loses a couple of more positions. Looks like the incident down at the first corner has all been dealt with now, and all the drivers back underway. Here we go then. Look, there's a cheeky move from the 95. Charlie Wilfett goes through on Luca Holmes-Ballock up into P3. But Kenzo Craigie has retaken the lead at the end of lap number 1 from Oliver Mieski. And that's a late one down the inside. The 10's going to get forced wide there. So that's Oliver Mieski losing 1, 2, 3 positions there through hairpin number 1. So just got forced wide by the 95 of Charlie Wilfett. Finds himself losing a few positions. So Charlie now up into 2nd place. Luke Holmes-Ballock, I think it is in 3rd. It is indeed. The 96 of Thomas Hill finds himself in 4th. And now Oliver Mieski down in 5th place. Fastest lap is, of course, with Kenzo Craigie. He goes even faster, but Charlie Wilfett now beats it. A 46.308 for Charlie. Now in 2nd place. However, that bit of fighting that went on that first lap has allowed for your leader, Kenzo Craigie, to pull out a 2nd gap. That's what it was at the start-finish line. But he's very much within touching distance. A 2nd seems like so much, but in karting, it's so close and can be closed up within a matter of seconds. Look at that puddle on the exit of hairpin 2 there. The number 10 of Oliver Mieski went very much through that puddle, kicked up a lot of spray right into the face of Oliver Spencer. I'm sure Oliver Spencer wouldn't be too happy with that. Gonna have to wipe his visor to be able to see what's coming for the next lap. But as I say, it's still very much wet tyre conditions here at Rye House for the Honda Cadet Heat number 1. 2.5 minutes of the clock now done, and the 10 of Oliver Mieski still trying to fend off that position. Or is that going for a position? It is indeed on Thomas Hill. So Mieski seals that move. Signed, sealed and delivered. Down at hairpin 1 and up into 4th place he goes. Thomas Hill now in a bit of an Oliver sandwich. Mieski ahead and Spencer behind. And here indeed is that battle through Complex Nouvelle. And then through the final corner, heading on to the pit straight. Look at that. Charlie Wilfett is reeling in Kenzo Craigie by around 0.3 of a second a lap at the front here in the number 95. Kenzo did his personal best on the last lap of a 45.9, whereas fastest lap of the race goes to Charlie Wilfett, a 45.6. So this is definitely a battle to keep an eye on here as they head through pylon now. Kenzo Craigie, very experienced driver, but so is Charlie Wilfett. So are a lot of the drivers in this field, to be fair. A lot of names that I recognise. The IKR, the Rye House IKR champion for 2022, John Richardson, currently sitting in 9th place. But of course, the London Cup attracting drivers from very far afield. And he's gone for it. He's gone for it down the inside, but a bit too late on the brakes for Charlie Wilfett. Kenzo Craigie has really picked up his pace, though. Both Charlie and Kenzo now lapping in the 45.5s. They're the fastest on track by half a second, these two are. They're just bouncing lap times off each other. But Charlie showing his intention there down at hairpin number 1, sending the move immediately, the first time of asking. However, just a little bit too grabby at that one, and Kenzo read it beautifully. Re-sent it back up the inside on exit and re-took the lead. They continue to battle, though, nose to tail. We go now down to hairpin 1. Is he going to try it again? I think better of it this time, does Charlie. And he points ahead, does Charlie. Now, that's interesting. Now, Charlie's obviously checked over his shoulder. He can see how close the drivers are behind. they're not that far away. However, he probably doesn't realise that they are still lapping half a second quicker than those drivers behind. So there really isn't too much of a need to work together. Even with a bit of battling, they should still hold on to first and second. It doesn't matter which way round they are. But still, Charlie holding on to that fastest lap of the race. And as I say that, it goes the way of Kenzo Craigie. He's built out that gap to about half a second on that last lap, down to a 45.3 now, that fastest lap. But here we look back to the battle for third place. Still Luca Holmes-Ballock holding off Oliver Mieszki. It looked like there might have been a move, Spencer and Thomas Hill, but no move in this battle. Thomas Hill probably quite happy to not find himself in a Oliver sandwich any longer, though. Oliver Spencer still ahead of him. Thomas Hill trying to see if he can find a way through. So is Oliver Mieszki on Luca Holmes-Ballock. So they're going to come across the line to start lap number 8. As now down into the 44s for our two leaders. 44.8 for both of them. They're both just somehow finding more grip when no one else is. The rest of the drivers now dropping down into the 45.5s, 45.6s, 45.7s. So it really is now, with this drying track, you can make up heaps of time if you just try something different and you're able to find that little extra bit of grip where the other drivers are not. Now look at this. It looks like it's now becoming a three-way battle for third place here. Oliver Spencer has cleared Thomas Hill, it looks like. And Oliver Spencer is lapping comfortably quicker than Luca Holmes-Ballock and Oliver Mieszki. 0.3 of a second on that last lap. He was quicker. And the fastest lap now goes to Charlie Wolfert, 44.517. He's knocked another 0.3 off that fastest lap the last time around. That's just ridiculous pace from Charlie. That's it. Here we go then. Looking back to those leaders. Despite having that induction of pace on the last lap around, he still hasn't been able to prise open the door. As all, that's not the best exit for Kenzo Craigie. Doesn't look to the inside, does Charlie. Decides to continue working together, but does now to the second apex and takes the lead on exit. Can Kenzo do anything about it? No, sits behind, but goes up and under. Now has the inside once again for hairpin 1. He's going to dive it to the apex and retakes the lead. Very, very smart and mature driving there from both drivers. Oh, little bit of nose cone shown there from the 95 of Charlie Wolfert. He thought about the re-overtake down into hairpin 2. But didn't look like that was going to happen, and he thought better of it. Saw a spin down at the first corner there for the number 48. That's Fenton Stoneman in 13th. He would have dropped a few positions from that spin. But Kenzo Craigie still holding the lead here as we head onto the last lap of the race. But look at this, he's found a back marker, the 33, and that's going to open up the door for your second place man. But is it? They're going to go side by side, and oh no! Now it's the 95 of Charlie Wolfert who's held up on the apex there by the back marker. No fault of the back marker, he's just racing his own line. But Charlie Wolfert initially read it better through the first corner, made that overtake, but Kenzo Craigie then read the second part of the corner perfectly and had the re-overtake fantastically and managed to box in his competitor and take that place. And that should mean now, as they head through the last couple of corners, it's going to get a little bit of a bump from second place, but they're going to run to the line, and it is going to be Kenzo Craigie who does just take that win in the Honda Cadet Heat number 1. Less than 1/10 of a second separated those two at the line there, and despite a quickest lap that was 0.3 of a second faster for Charlie Wolfert, just not quite able to find his way through and has to settle for second place there. So a brilliant race for Kenzo Craigie on that number 2 plated kart, and takes, a lot of people would expect that win, but he definitely had to fight for that one. But well done to Kenzo. Scores maximum points there from heat number 1. Charlie Wolfert indeed ending up in P2, and Oliver Mieszki managed to get through on Luca Holmes-Ballock there near the end of the race and stole that final podium spot. Cole Denham ended up ahead actually into P5 of Oliver Spencer, so that was a good last few laps for Cole Denham. the only other driver other than Charlie Wolfett to drop down into the 44s on that last lap. Oliver Spencer ended up in P6. Behind him was Finley Lyons. I know he races in Super 1. Definitely seen him. I've seen a lot of the names of these drivers down at the Wilton Mill Karting Club as well, so I know they're all very, very quick. Thomas Hill ended up in P8 there. John Richardson, your House IKR champion for 2022, ends up in P9. Hayden Fisher rounds out the top 10. Sergio Wirtz in P11. Then it was Kean Sullivan in 12th. And Ashley Haas in P13. And Elliot Burke, P14, and it was Fenton Stoneman, Albie Smith, Ernest Hanger, Arthur Way, Samir Paul and Connor Winfield rounding out the top 20. And behind them was Ayrton Rye, Ethan Okoro, Ian Paul, Zach Hunt, Benedictas Mazioskas, Ismail Vargan, Harry Samuel and Dylan Redding rounding out 28. It was only 26 that actually managed to make it to the flag there. Harry Samuel and Dylan Redding not making it to the checkered flag. Harry Samuel getting a black flag for his troubles on lap number 5. However, Dylan Redding went out on lap number 1. So that black flag was not for any naughtiness from Harry Samuel. It was actually an earlier mechanical flag which he did not serve, that then turned into a black flag, and he had to come into the pits at that point. But you can see now, still very changeable conditions here at Rye House, and a dry line definitely forming. However, I will say more than likely still to be slicks here for the senior Rotaxes. Remember, they've got a lot of power to put down, so we'll try and spot as they come through whether they have got slicks on or not, but I would assume so. So here are the senior Rotaxes for heat number 2. Let's have a look at your grid for this one then. Kyle Dunford on the number 7 plate lines up on pole position. Alongside him, P number 2 is Mark Sayers. Behind them, row 3, Taylor Bellini and Josh Burton. Then row number 3, Luke Collins and Lucas Abascavicius. Row 4, Ryan Mills and Sean Berry. Row 5, Max Miners and James Otto. Row number 6, Tommy Edmonds and Liam Hurrell. Then there's Martin Jackson and Benjamin Ballou. Then Christopher Harris and Josh Evans, Bradley Barrett, Ronnie Smith, Adam Mead, Tom Pryor, Jack Powell, Ollie Ward, George Sanders, Andrew King, George Hunter, Lorenzo Espinosa and Dudley Rudder, because we're going to go round again, guys. Every time I try and do the grid nice and quickly, they end up having to redo the start. And then I've got an extra lap to relax and let my heart rate go back down just a little bit. So Kyle Dunford, I remember from the couple of rounds that I did at the end of the season of Rye House IKR, he is very, very quick. So of course, these classes of karts that have not been able, did not do a qualifying session yesterday, these will all be random grids, whereas of course the ones that did qualifying yesterday, their grids are all decided by the qualifying and then average between their qualifying and heat 1, and it gets a little bit more confusing. But these senior Rotax being one of the grids where it's all random grids throughout the day, of course, until they get to their final, and then that will be depending on how they did throughout the rest of the heats in the morning. Liam Hurrell on P8, I believe, from the live timing. He is your IKR champion. Let's see what he can do in this one. But Carl Dunford will lead us to the green light here, and we're underway for the senior Rotax final. Not the best start for the left-hand side of the grid. And the number 12 of Josh Burton crossed the line in 4th place, it said. He was supposed to start in P2, so was that a great start from the right-hand side of the grid or a bad start from the left-hand side? I'm not too sure. Diving down to the apex there, hairpin at number 1. A couple of drivers having to go wide there, go round the barrier on the outside rather than going into it. Probably a better idea. But you can really see that dry line on the exit there of hairpin number 2, and a couple of drivers having some incidents down at hairpin 2. The number 8 getting back underway there. That's Lorenzo Espinosa, one of your 2 rookies out in this race, finding himself in a bit of a calamitous situation on lap number 1, but manages to get back underway. Kyle Dunford, though, still at the head of the pack, now under pressure from the 21 of Taylor Bellini. Taylor Bellini all over the rear end of Kyle. Kyle holding him off for now. Anyway, there's Josh Burton in the 12 behind as well, trying to get himself involved. But neither of them able to prise open the door just yet. They already seem to be building a nice little gap back to the drivers behind, though. That's being led by Sean Berry in 4th place. Behind him, Max Miners, Tom Pryor and Bradley Barrett. As we come come across the line to start once again another lap. And this again, as we saw in the Honda Cadets, trying different lines and trying to work out where you could find that bit of extra grip could really help you throughout the race. Now, I am trying to spot, I think these drivers have moved on to slick tyres now, if I'm not mistaken. I'll try and spot them as they come through our shots on camera, but I want to say that they have indeed decided to move on to slick tyres. It's a little bit wide there from Kyle, but manages to get it back together. As online now, it is practically dry, but offline, still a lot of damp patches. So going for moves will be particularly difficult today. And so he is going to try it. He prizes the door open, does the leader. Goes side by side on the exit there through Reg's elbow. But now looked to the inside there, thought about it, but the move didn't come off. But this slight bit of battling between these leaders is allowing for the pack behind to really close up. A little move there in the background. I think that's Bradley Barrett getting through. Or is that Tom Pryor getting through on Max Miners? I'll have a double check for you there. No, it is indeed Bradley Barrett getting through on Tom Pryor. As I now believe we have a top 7 battle. Yes, indeed, 7 karts battling here over the podium positions. Oh, up and under, tries it again to second place, and finally this time is able to make it stick. Through goes Taylor Bellini up in second place. Josh Burton tried to follow his way through there, but the door just was closed abruptly by Kyle Dunford. But you saw from the previous time through that Taylor Bellini realised that that is where his opportunity was going to be, and that time really set up the move nicely so that he could get good power on the exit and just forcibly crank that door open and work his way through and take the lead, as he does so now on the 21-plated kart. And indeed does his personal best lap of the race of a 39.9. Bradley Barrett, though, now in 6th place, has the fastest lap, but that now actually goes to George Hunter down in 13th place, a 39.519 for the 13th place kart. So he's definitely one to watch moving up through the order. As just touches that wet patch on the outside there. If they have got the slicks on, that's something you definitely don't want to be doing now. That's going to really cool down the tyres. There's a bit of contact there on exit. Nearly goes into the pit lane as the 71. That's Tom Pryor. Just got a little bit of contact with Sean Berry, forced himself wide. I think Bradley Barrett and Max Miners both forced their way through. They did indeed. So Tom Pryor now finds himself down in 7th. Again, the 12 of Josh Burton trying to make his way through on Kyle Dunford. Can't quite pull off the same move that Tyler Bellini did 1 lap earlier. But there's a move, though, the 57 of Sean Berry. Nope, that was him holding off, actually, from Bradley Barrett. So getting a better exit and making sure that Bradley Barrett couldn't find his way through. But Bradley now, a little bit of contact there in the mid-corner. Not sure what the stewards are going to think of that one, but anyway, makes his way through nonetheless, does Bradley. Up into 4th place now, and already starting to pull away. So clearly Bradley with some good pace here, as Tyler Bellini in the lead now sets your fastest lap of the race. 39.378 for Taylor, as we head on to lap number 7 of this race. Just over 3 minutes left to go, and Taylor really running away with this race lead. That gap nearly 2 seconds out in front, and Kyle Dunford, I think, now accepting that the chance at the win has well and truly gone, and his main focus now is holding off the 2nd place and holding off Josh Burton, which he is doing a good job of so far, I must say. However, for how much longer? Thought about it. Did Josh Burton down into the first corner. He's going to try it up and under once again, but once again to the apex early for Kyle Dunford. Closes that door and means that the 12 of Josh Burton can't do anything about it. But look at this. Bradley Barrett, fastest lap of the race last time around, 38.960. The first driver to drop down into the 38s. We've seen Bradley flying through the pack in this race, and it looks like he's about to get up into the podium positions. Look how much traction he has out of pylon there. He could just put the power down so easily compared to the drivers ahead of them. Closed right up to the bumper, but then didn't have a great run through Complex Duvel and through Paddock. But already closes his way back up to 2nd and 3rd. And don't forget, oh, look at that, Tom Pryor. He's had a good couple of last laps. Of course, we saw him lose a couple of positions as he got chucked out wide, nearly entering the pit lane a couple of laps ago. Has managed to re-pass Max Miners and Sean Berry. Liam Hurrell has also now made his way up into P8 as well. So he's very quick as well, dropping down into the 39s. But let's continue to watch this. A good exit from the 4th place man. Bradley Barrett is thinking about it. Not able to make it work though. Is that a change for second though? Tries it on the inside, bit of pod-to-pod contact. They are going to go side by side, but Carl Dunford's going to get a better exit, and that opens the door for Bradley Barrett to slip his way through, up into B3, and through follows the 71 of Tom Pryor. So it's all hotting up here over 2nd, 3rd, 4th place. So Tom Pryor forcing his way through up into 4th. So Josh Burton initially tried to get up into 2nd place, but now finds himself down in 5th. There's indeed 30 seconds to go in this one. It's going to be close between the leader as to whether we go on to the last lap, next lap, or the following lap. But I'll try and keep you updated as to that as we keep following this battle. Here's the move though, the 27 goes through. That's Bradley Barrett, a hairpin one through on Kyle Dunford and makes the move stick. Makes it look easy. Kyle's going to try and fight it back on exit there, but cannot get that traction on that wet bit of the circuit. On the inside there, exiting hairpin 2. So that's it for the 27. Bradley Barrett takes 2nd position, but there is your leader, the number 21, as he does now indeed go onto the final lap of this race. Taylor Bellini has led an absolutely blinding race here, made his way through nicely early on in the race and has since driven off with it. 3.7 seconds, that gap at the front that he now has. So Bradley Barrett, although looking very tasty on his lap times, has just not had enough time at the end of this race to close in that gap. But still, a brilliant run through the order from Bradley. He started this race way down the field in 17th place. However, couldn't quite get the win. That goes the way of Taylor Bellini as he crosses the line. Bradley Barrett take a bow, 17th to 2nd. What a finish there. As oh no, what an upset on the last lap of the race. Kyle Dunford falls from 3rd to 5th. I saw him exiting hairpin 2 and I thought he was still in 3rd then, so that must have been a real last couple of corner upset. His last lap was considerably slower than his previous, a good 2nd slower, so clearly just getting forced wide or forced off at the last section of corners there, and Josh Burton takes 3rd place. Tom Pryor in 4th as the drivers now return to the pit lane. Kyle Dunford, as I say, ending up in 5th place. Liam Hurrell up into 6th. Your IKR champion for 2022, having a good final couple of laps there, stealing away a couple more positions. Sean Berry was in 7th place with Chris Harris in 8th, and George Hunter in 9th, and Tommy Edmonds rounded out the top 10. Behind them was Benjamin Ballou and George Sanders, then Andrew King and Lorenzo Espinosa. Your first novice of 2, and after that earlier incident in the race, had a decent race there to get him back up to 14th. Behind him was Ryan Mills, then Max Miners and Jack Powell. I saw Max up fighting over 5th or 6th position there, so clearly had a bit of an issue in the middle of the race there that we didn't quite pick up on. Martin Jackson was in 18th place with Dudley Ruddock behind and Adam Mead in 20th, and that was all of your finishers in that one. Lucas Avaskevicius ended up going out of the race on lap number 9. And then Luke Collins was out on lap number 2. So just 2 drivers of the 22 who took the start not making it to the checkered flag there for senior Rotax Heat number 2. But a great race that was. Taylor Bellini leading nicely there, making the move on Kyle Dunford on sort of lap 3 or 4, and then driving away with it nicely. But as I say, Bradley Barrett just making his way from P17 on the grid to P2 by the checkered flag there. That was very, very impressive. But I do believe we've come to the end of our first round of heats for the day. Each of our 7 classes have had at least 1 heat done and dusted, and we'll now be moving on to some people's 2nd heats for the day or 3rd heats for the weekend. Now we'll confirm that order in just a bit, but I do believe we are going to go to a quick break. everyone, welcome back to the House Kart Raceway. Of course, you're joining us, continuing to join us for the 2022 House London Cup. The first sort of round of heats for the day has come to a close, and we now start our second round of heats. For some of the classes, of course, it's going to be heat number 2 for the weekend. Some of the classes, it's going to be heat number 3, and some of them, as I said earlier, have indeed already had a race yesterday alongside their race they've had this morning. We move on to start once again, this time with the Bambino Comas. They're going to kick us off for this second round of heats. Let's try and get a grid up for this one. This will be heat number 2 for the Bambino Comas. Here we are. Who is lined up on pole position? Mason Hibbert on the E-plate, of course. Saw him be very, very quick in that earlier heat today. He lines up on pole. Alongside him, Rex Michael Pooley on that 31 plated car. Behind them, Dewey Hockridge and Marley Wordy. Then it's Harry Chapman, Mason Munter, James Carver, Toby Biggs, Adam Galudi, Leo Hunt. Then John Stevens, Sophia Page, Ollie West, Alfredo Mengson and Jensen Fathers rounds out the 15 kart grid for this one. Sorry, I had to run through a little bit fast. We're not waiting around for anyone here at Rye House, and we are soon going to get heat number 2 of the Bambino Comas underway now. Here we go then. 31 looking across, trying to get a good jump on the E-plate. He is going to be side by side, but has he got a good enough run to go around the outside? Not quite. Has to settle in for P2. Might try up and under, but no, the E-plate holds it off and keeps the lead there. Dewey Hockridge still there in the number 77 as well in third place, as we head now down to hairpin number 1. And they all stay as they were. There's Marley Worthy in the 11 as well, trying to get involved. Oh, there's a little bit of bump for the drivers behind us. They all got a little bit held up through there. That was a dive to the apex, though, from that driver. Who's that getting involved? What a brilliant move that was. The number 65, that is, of Toby Biggs getting back involved. And oh, a change for the lead is that. Round the outside, and oh no, a spin! The E-plate goes for a little spin down, and oh my goodness, that rejoin. Oh my goodness. That was so close. Mason Hibbert, a little bit of a spin down at pylon there, but his rejoin, I understand he wants to get back underway as soon as possible, but nearly getting T-boned there by another driver as he rejoined. I think all of them managing to continue okay, but that was a heart in the mouth moment there, especially when these drivers are so young. That would have been quite the big impact, but luckily no impact suffered. And Rex Michael Pooley now goes to the lead of this field in the 31 plated car, and that's Harry Chapman. He's now made a move. Has he? No, he's not. Still sat there in third place. Has Marley Wordy for company. And the battle for the lead now sits with Rex Michael Pooley and Dewey Hockridge. Dewey setting the fastest lap of the race last time around. He started on pole position. He had a great qualifying session yesterday. He started on pole in our first heat earlier in the day. Fell down the order just a little bit, down sort of 4th or 5th place. And now has worked his way up nicely in this second heat and is very much challenging for the lead there. Not the best of exits for the 31. Could leave himself open for a move down into hairpin 1. Not quite going to happen, but does go a little bit wide. Oh, watch out for that barrier on the exit, sir. Just about does, manages to keep his kart out of it. But wide again on the exit of hairpin 2, clearly feeling the pressure. But look at that in the background. Marley Wordy up now into third place. He is your IKR champion for 2022 here at Rye House, is Marley Wordy. He was incredibly impressive throughout the season in IKR and easily won the championship before we even took to the last race. Look at this, almost side by side for the lead there down into the first corner. And he is going to think about it, but no move quite paying off there for Dewey Hockridge just yet. But indeed, Marley Wordy, still not sure what happened to him in that first heat. He was right up there. He was on P2, I believe, for the start of the first heat. But for some reason, his car just didn't go. He dropped all the way out to the back of the pack. The problem was somehow remedied. I'm not sure what it was. What was the issue? Managed to fight his way up to, I believe it was sort of 5th or 6th place by the end of by the checkered flag. Started in 6th place, I think, for this race, and now has moved his way up nicely already to P3. And look at this. Dewey all over the rear bumper of Rex Michael Pooley, but not quite finding a way past just yet. We're nearly halfway into this race as the drivers are now going to go across the line and start lap number 4. Marley Wordy is definitely closing down that gap. This battle for 5th, though, is getting a little bit spicy as well. That's Mason Munzer looking to make his way through, but Harry Chapman holds on to that 5th place now. And we'll see if he can continue to do so for the rest of this race. Another bit of a wide line there for Rex Michael Pooley. Means he's not going to get a great exit, but not enough closing speed for the 77 to open up a move, and just gets himself a little bit too turned through that corner, loses a bit of speed laterally, and thus scrubs off speed from the tyres. Doesn't get a great exit, but look at this, Marley Wordy now making this a 3-way battle for the lead. He's trying to make up for what was an underperformance in the first race. Certainly not down to himself. He fought back through very nicely, and now he can smell that win. He is so close. He's within touching distance of that win, and he has got 3.5 minutes to try and set up a move here, does Marley. So let's watch what he can do. And don't forget about Toby Biggs as well. Started well in the first heat, but fell down the order himself, fighting his way through nicely in this one too. Now up into 4th place. The 22 back marker though, just getting a little bit close there. And look at that, Marley Wordy, thought the door open there for himself to make through, and he's going to get squeezed possibly onto the grass here, or almost. Does he still end up in 4th? No, he's lost a position because of it. So the 65 of Toby Biggs manages to squeeze through, but that's what can happen when you're trying to deal with those slightly slower back markers. The back marker just did not know he was there, squeezed him almost off onto the grass. Marley did well, to be honest, to keep it on the black stuff, but ends up losing a position because of it. But not for long. Already down the inside goes Marley Wordy at hairpin 1, and makes that move stick. A very tidy move there from Marley. Shows his ability, shows his experience around this Rye House circuit. Back up into 3rd place he goes, but look at that. He was right on the rear bumper of both Dewey Hockridge and Rex Michael Pooley at the start of the previous lap, and now this lap he's a good couple of seconds off of them. Just over 2 minutes now left to go here in heat number 2 for Bambino Comas. But Marley Wordy holding the fastest lap of the race. Not any longer though. That now goes to Rex Michael Pooley. 49.105 on that last lap for Mr. Pooley. And Marley now seemingly now being able to clear the 4th place man of Toby Biggs and starting to pull away. Now I think he might have just opened up a bit too much of a gap to Rex to be able to challenge for the lead once again. Rex now 1.5 seconds in the lead over Dewey Hockridge, and then another further 1.5 seconds back to Marley Wordy. But Mason Munzer, has he made his way through there? No, that's Adam Galudi trying to get through on himself. So this is the battle for 5th place that we now look at. The 27 leading the 29. Mason Munzer on the 27, Adam Galudi on the 29. Adam Galudi going to look for it here. Mason Munzer sees the move, moves to the inside to cover it off, and does so for now anyway, but through the second part of the corner, what can Adam do? Nothing this time around, and just has to follow in the wheel tracks. Little check over the shoulder from Mason to make sure that there isn't going to be any move happening. 50 seconds left to go now on the clock. So likely 2 more laps of the race to go, I would say, here in the Bambino Comas. And if Mason Munzer and Adam Galudi start to battle here, they have got the 32 of Harry Chapman relatively close behind. However, it doesn't seem like his lap times are quite as quick as these two, so they've really got to start battling for him to have a chance to reel them in. As here's a move for 2nd place. Marley Wordy is going to go for it down at the first corner and makes it stick. Once again, a very tidy move from Marley Wordy. Moves himself back up into 2nd place. But now himself and Dewey Hockridge 2 seconds off of Rex Michael Pooley in the lead of the race, as the timer now ticks down to 0. And the next time the drivers come round under the start-finish gantry, they will be seeing that last lap board. Now Marley Wordy can obviously see Rex Michael Pooley only a corner or so ahead, but it is just a little bit too late. Too little, too late for Marley Wordy, I think, here in heat number 2. Just got a bit unlucky with the back markers as here is your leader. That's the 31, overtaking a couple of back markers, doing it nicely. Very nicely done there from Rex Michael Pooley. Dealing with the pressure well, and that could always be difficult
dealing with those back markers, but he's got through very nicely. Marley Wordy has closed the gap ever so slightly on that last lap, but only a couple of tenths of a second, and that's not going to be enough to close down what is a 1.8 second gap up to Rex Michael Pooley, who we see here exiting hairpin 2. And Marley Wordy made his way through nicely. I think that's a change for third as well. Toby Biggs in the background has made his way through on Dewey Hockridge. So a change for third place, that final podium position going the way of Toby. And Dewey now dropping down to fourth, but it does look like round the final corner it is going to be Rex Michael Pooley who comes across the line to take the win here in heat number 2 in the Bambino Comas. And a good fight back for Marley Wordy up to P2 as well. And look at that, a little bounce in the seat from Toby Biggs. He's happy with that result. A P3. And also Adam Galudi in the 29 ending up in P5 as well. He's happy with that. He overtook Mason Munzer there on the last couple of laps, so it must have been a good battle between those two. But Adam Galudi being the victor of that battle, ending up in P5. Mason Munzer, as I say, in P6, then Harry Chapman in 7th place. Mason Hibbert started on pole position in that one, but of course we saw him have that little spin down at a pylon on the first lap. Never ideal to be facing the wrong direction, and had an interesting rejoin. I think we'll leave it at that for Mason. He did get a warning for that rejoin, but luckily there was no contact because of it, because it could have been quite a big one, that. But Mason, after falling down to right near the back of the pack, fights his way back up to 8th. Nicely done. Then Leo Hunt and James Carver rounded out the top 10. Behind them was Sophia Page, John Stevens and Jensen Fathers, who managed to make it to the checkered flag. And Ollie West rounded out your 14 drivers in that one. He sadly only made it to lap number 6 there before having to pull into the pit lane. Did Ollie West. Only humans who love a bit of racing, but some dogs as well, bringing along the pups down to the Rye House Kart Raceway, and some very cute puppers at that, I will say. So good to see them enjoying the action, although I don't think they can actually see over that barrier, sadly. Have we got any dog stands that we can pop them on so they can really be enjoying the Bambino Coma racing? But now we've come to the end of heat number 2 for those Bambino Comas. It's Micromax Heat number 2 who are now coming out of the pit lane. So let's talk you through their grid for this one. 10 drivers. Adam Turasek lines up on pole position. Alongside himself is Ella Lucia. Behind them, Max Wheatley and Buddy Hugo. Of course, they were involved in quite the incident earlier on today, so let's hope that they are actually out for this race. Yes, I can see them both, so I'm glad to see they managed to fix the karts, and luckily no damage to themselves either, so back on the grid for this one in 3rd and 4th. Behind them, row number 3 is Jack Baker and Arthur Farrow. Row 4, Josh Cook and Elliot Travis. And row number 5, Sam Howell and Elliot Dimolo. And Max Wheatley and Buddy Hugo look very quick in that last race. Let's see what they can do this. Oh no, we've already had it come in together before the start. We could see a false start here. That is indeed Buddy Hugo. Indeed we are. False start. The driver's going to get another lap to go round, but Buddy Hugo, his calamitous day continues. We didn't see how that incident started, but it certainly ended with Buddy Hugo and another driver facing the wrong way. Now Buddy Hugo, I think, is going to try and squeeze his way back through. Is indeed going to go down the inside here and try and get back into his 4th position grid spot. There we go. We see him slot back in. But come on, guys, there's no battling before we get to that green flag light. There's no need to be chucking it off on the formation lap. But as I said earlier in the stream, it's happened to the best of us, so it's understandable. And luckily, the race control giving them another lap to get back into their grid positions. Hopefully this time around, second time of asking, we should be able to get Micromax Heat number 2 underway for 8 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. Here we are then, Adam Turasek alongside Ella Lucia, who's going to be leading through into the first corner. Here we go then, the lights, we do indeed go green now, and we're underway for Micromax Heat number 2. Immediately drops off, does the leader, but they are going to go wide. Multiple drivers going wide. They're nearly finding the barrier on the outside. They were so wide, but all managing to make it way through unscathed. But the number 12 of Adam Turasek does indeed take to the lead. Swiftly followed behind him by the 25 of Ella Lucia. there's a little bit of moves there going on down at hairpin 2. Who was that moving their way through? It was the number 17 of Jack Baker. There's a little bit of curb taken there on the exit from one of the drivers further down the order. They're having a good little scrap though, down over sort of 7th or 8th position, I think that was. But we look back to the front. Here's the number 11 of Buddy Hugo. Currently sat in 4th place, so lost 1 position off of the start, it seems. Oh no, he did actually start in P4, but he must have been P3 across the line. Max Wheatley holds on to 3rd place as it stands. Buddy Hugo under a bit of pressure though. Elliot Travis and Jack Baker are the ones right in his wheel tracks. Behind them, Josh Cook and Arthur Farrow trying to get involved as well. Is that a switchback move that might be on? Not quite for the number 17 there of Jack Baker. Thought about it on Elliot Travis, but it was not going to work. And Buddy Hugo, although it was getting a bit caught up with that battle initially, seems to be starting to pull away, as that's a good exit from the number 17, but can't quite find his way through on Elliot Travis. So although Jack Baker getting a good exit there, way through, can he do it now though? Into the first corner, he has got his nose in there, and now he's got his full cart through. So up into Elliot Travis having still up a 6th. Behind them, the battle for 7th continues. That's between Josh Cook and Arthur Farrow still. Who's ended out ahead there? It's the 24 of Arthur Farrow, so he's made his way through up into 7th place there. Drops Josh Cook down into 8th. But Adam Turasek in the lead, leading now by, there you can see him coming through your shot. He's now up to 1.5 seconds in the lead. There's Ella Lucia, with a bit of pressure being piled on by Max Wheatley, as Max Wheatley now takes the fastest lap of the race. 40.352 for Max Wheatley. As, oh, was that a move? Was that a move? We got a bit of sunlight there, so it's a bit difficult to spot. No, it was actually Ella Lucia holding on to the position from Max Wheatley. Max getting quite the poor exit, so I'm not sure if there was a bit of contact possibly, but a bit of a gap opened up between them now, and look who's there. Oh no, into the barrier on the exit. Ella Lucia just gets it wrong on the exit there, or almost gets stuck on the grass as she tries to rejoin, but manages to get it underway, as we've got another driver in the barrier on the entrance to the corner as well. There's a yellow flag now down into that section of corners. And we'll try and find out who it is. It looks to be Sam Howell on the number 8 cart there. You can see him on the cameras now. I hope he's okay. Found himself buried into that barrier on the exit of Pylon. But Ella Lucia, yeah, just must have gone onto a damp patch, as we know now. All the drivers are very much now onto the slick tyres, but as soon as you get it offline here, it's very, very wet. So Ella Lucia just clearly touching a damp patch there, and that just fired her off. Luckily, just a bit of a glancing blow with the barrier, was able to rejoin, but now Ella has dropped down to 8th place, so that's far from ideal for her in this heat number 2. However, that's been great for Adam Turasek, because that has meant that he's been allowed to pull away at the front. He's got nearly 3.5 seconds in the lead now. But we look back, this is the 3rd place battle. Oh, we're slowing down. We are slowing down. Red flag out on circuit. So clearly the incident down at Pylon a little bit more major than we would have thought. As a little red flag there, and look at that stunning car that's by that red flag post. What a beautiful car. It's definitely not mine. Of course I wouldn't do that. It's mine, I promise. I had to do that, I'm sorry, I had to do that. It's a new car. It's a new car. I had to shout it out, my little up GTI. I'm loving it. But anyway, we look back to the racing. The incident being dealt with now down at Pylon, the cart being dragged out of the way, and the driver just being checked over with our marshals to make sure that he is all okay. And the rest of our drivers in the field. Sorry, yes, you are right. Is it she? Is it he or she? It's Sam Howell. So a bit of a unisex name. Yeah, so sorry. I should say the driver. My apologies, Sam. Has jumped over the barrier there, and is getting tended to by friends and family. We see more people still watching in the grandstand. Give us a wave. Hello, everyone down there in the grandstand. Hope you're enjoying the racing. And nicely enough, the sun has really come out now, so it looks to be a little bit warmer, maybe up into the double digits now. Yeah, I think we're looking at about 10 degrees at the moment, so very much into the British winter now, aren't we? But luckily, blue skies for today here for the 2022 London Cup. The rest of the drivers
have all come to a stop down just before Pylon Bend, obviously in the order that they were when the red flag came out. And I believe what will likely happen is once that incident is all cleared, we'll get one warm-up lap, I would have thought, and then we'll go racing. So it'll either be that or we'll immediately go racing. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But it's still Adam Turasek who's in the lead of this one with Max Wheatley. You can see there on the 20. His Nassau panel isn't looking the best. I think that's one way of putting it. But not going to make any sort of impact on its lap times, as he's still lapping nicely quickly. But there's some more people watching. That's down at the side at the first corner. And just behind them is the waterway that runs alongside this Rye House circuit. And then behind them you can see the train bridge as well. So well connected here. So once again, if you're enjoying today's stream, make sure you drop a like, whether you're watching on Rye House's YouTube channel or on the Motorsport Radio YouTube channel. Make sure you drop a like, you drop a subscribe as well, so you don't miss any future racing from both accounts. And then also, of course, we're live on Facebook as well, on both of the pages, and the Motorsport Radio Twitch as well. So whether you're here at the circuit or watching at home, make sure you jump over there, drop a like, a subscribe, a follow, whatever it is on that certain platform, and get yourself involved. We're back on Doggo Watch, I see. On the, I need a fur coat like that on days like this. I think that would really help. I think it is indeed the same dogs that we saw earlier. I think they were at the last corner last time we saw them. Now heading up to the grandstand, where I said before I didn't think that they could actually see over the barrier. So now they've taken them up into the grandstand, so they can really. If you're watching online, make sure you share this stream with anyone that you think could enjoy it. I mean, who's not going to enjoy this? It's fantastic. On the balcony at the main building, if you can hear me, give us a little wave. We're watching you. And hello, yeah, you can hear me, hello. If you're here as well, make sure you jump on the live stream. It gives you some better angles of the circuit as well, and make sure you share that with anyone who may be at home. If you're here watching your son or your daughter, your brother, your sister, maybe even your mum or your dad, make sure you share it with the rest of your family and friends at home and get them to support them on the stream and get involved as well. Oh dear, I think that's Max Wheatley who they're not allowing to continue on this formation lap. Now, I'm not sure as to why. It looks like he's being pushed off the circuit. So Max Wheatley here, of course, he didn't make it to the end of heat number 1 despite having brilliant pace. Now, he isn't going to make it to the end of heat number 2 either in the number 20 car. And over the barrier does the number 20, but what a gutting way to finish that one. He came to a stop, but sadly couldn't get the engine back underway again to take the restart. We look back to the drivers here. They'll continue for one green flag. They can go racing once again once they come under the gantry. Here goes up to 3rd place. Catches Jack Baker napping there at the restart. Through he goes, but Jack Baker looks like he might try and fight back here. No, that's slightly further back down, my apologies. That's the 24 of Arthur Farrow. Josh Cook's looking to make his way through. And there indeed, there's the move I was talking about earlier. Jack Baker makes his way back through on Elliot Travis down at hairpin number 2. So Jack Baker now back up into those podium positions. But Buddy Hugo is now in 2nd place thanks to Max Wheatley not making it to that restart. But can he reel in the leader, Adam Turasek? Adam has already built out a 2nd gap through that first lap. That's mightily impressive from Adam Turasek, getting back up to speed almost immediately down into the 40.7. And the battle for 2nd now is between Buddy Hugo and Jack Baker. Here we look back to the battle for 3rd though. This is of course the battle for 4th, my apologies. It's being led by Elliot Travis. Behind him, Arthur Farrow, Josh Cook and Ella Lucia. Of course, Ella we saw in the barrier after lap sort of 2 or 3. Now finding her way back, much involved with this fight, and it gives her a 2nd attempt at this race. Here's the battle for 2nd though. Gets a good exit. Does your 3rd place man, Jack Baker, thinks about it down the inside at hairpin 1. But that's not going to work this time around. You're going to have to rethink and re-attack later on in the lap. But if they do continue to battle here, Buddy Hugo and Jack Baker, that's only going to allow for those 4 drivers behind to begin to get involved themselves
Arthur Farrow has now made his way through on Elliot Travis, finds himself up into P4. As they go under the gantry to start a new lap. And a new fastest lap goes to your leader, Adam Turasek. 39.926 for Adam, the only driver on the grid to now drop down into the 39s. And his gap now almost 2.5 seconds once again. So I said, can he build up that gap once again? The answer to that was yes, he definitely can. Now we have 2 minutes to go in this Micromax Heat number 2 of the day. All a little bit squirrely there through pylon. The 24 of Arthur Farrow just getting onto that wet stuff on the outside. Bit of a damp patch there on the outside of pylon, and that just sent him wide, but luckily was able to keep it out of the barrier. But we've had a change for second place on that last lap. Buddy Hugo down to P3, Jack Baker up to P2. So Jack Baker was showing good pace throughout the rest of that lap, and now has finally made the move stick up into P2. So Buddy Farrow, pace was brilliant in the wetter conditions earlier today, but clearly in this dry race, not quite able to find that same pace, and it's now under quite a bit of pressure from Arthur Farrow behind in fourth, and I mean the whole rest of the field now getting involved. Elliot Travis behind, then Josh Cook, Ella Lucia, and now Elliot Dimolo getting involved in this battle as well. So we're looking from third down to eighth here, all in one big queue. But Jack Baker, after making that pass, has just started to build up that gap in second place. Opened it up to almost a second now. And that gap to the leader from Jack Baker is 3 seconds now. So Adam really controlling this race. 45 seconds to go. So I would assume that will be 2 more laps of this 950 metre long Rye House kart circuit. As we'll look at this, a little bit squirrely on the exit there for the number 11 of Buddy Hugo. And everyone's trying to dive for a cheeky move there, but none of them quite paying off. All getting forced to the inside, but can he hold it there? He does. He's going to keep his wheels there, and just gets chopped off the nose cone, does the 24 of Arthur Farrow, and can't quite open the door. So Buddy Hugo holds on to that final podium position for now, but for how much longer? There's an attempt from the 25 of Ella Lucia. She's got past Josh Cook. She's now trying to get through on Elliot Travis. They're side by side into pylon, but Buddy is going to hold on to it. He's going to go deep though, and up and under goes the 24 of Arthur Farrow. What a move. Perfectly read there by Arthur Farrow. He saw exactly what was going to happen and acted on it perfectly. Up into P3 as they now go on to the final lap of the race. He's just got 950 metres more to fend off Buddy Hugo and the rest of the pack to hold on to that third position. But here we look back to Adam Turasek, still your leader, still 3.3 seconds in the lead, and he's fought a mighty fine race, has Adam, holding on to that lead. There's P2 of Jack Baker just ahead, and here we look back to the battle for third. Still Arthur Farrow's to lose, but he's held on to it through the final couple of corners. But there is your winner, the number 12, Adam Turasek, well deserved. Pulled out a brilliant gap. That all got closed up by the red flag, and then once again built out a brilliant gap. So a well-deserved win for Adam Turasek there. Jack Baker followed him across the line, 3.8 seconds behind in second place, but still a good effort from Jack. And that podium, as I say, rounded out by Arthur Farrow. He fended off Buddy Hugo, who ended up in fourth. Then it was Elliot Travis in fifth. Josh Cook managed to grab sixth place back off Ella Lucia at the end of that one, and she ended up in seventh place just behind. Then it was Elliot Dimolo in eighth place, with Max Wheatley in ninth, and Sam Howell in 10th. Now Max Wheatley obviously didn't make it to that restart, and Sam Howell was who caused that red flag. I don't think it's any fault of his own, just maybe touched a bit of a damp patch through that pylon section and found himself in the barriers on the outside. So that's never an ideal way to finish a race, but the kart looked reasonably okay, so let's just hope that Sam is also okay and that they can get involved with heat number 3 later on today. So that is it for Micromax Heat number 2. Let's have a look. What should we be having coming up next? Now, it seems my initial running order earlier, I had got earlier in the week, and it was incorrect. But then the first heats of the new itinerary from the website were correct. But now their second heat is also different. So I don't actually know who's now coming out on track. It looks to be the Bambino IAMEs. It is indeed as, oh no, we've already had a spinner out of turn number 1 there. Best to do it on the outlap, I guess, than do it once the race has started. But let's run you through your grid for Bambino Heat number 2. Ooh, yes. I'm trying to work out if I'm right. This is heat number 2, isn't it? Yes, it is. I keep getting confused between which classes have had a qualifying yesterday or whether they've had a heat. But this is indeed heat number 2 for Bambino Comas. Mason Hibbert on the E-plate lines up on pole position. Currently joint on points with Rex from Michael Pooley, who will line up alongside him. Dewey Hockridge on 3rd place. Alongside him is Marley Wordy. This is not Bambino Comas. This is Bambino IAME. Too confusing. Right, Bambino IAME, here we go. I was like, I've definitely seen Marley Wordy out already. We've got Charlie Page on pole, of course, for this one. Darwin Dimitrov is the one alongside him. Then it's Chester Fawkes on row 2, alongside him Oscar Keddy. Then William Crombie, Albert Farrow, and Freddie Baker round out your 7 karts taking to the start for this one. Apologies about my confusion. It's all a bit crazy up here in the comms box, but we do indeed get the Bambino IAMEs underway. And to the lead immediately goes Charlie Page in that 33 kart. And he's going to lead them through Stadium Bend, now through Regis Elbow as well. But to the inside, tries it, the 38 of Chester Fawkes. He's gone from 3rd to 2nd, now goes from 2nd to 1st, but not for long. Immediately chops back under him, does Charlie Page, and retakes that lead through hairpin number 1. I can hear, even through the microphones on the camera, that someone was very happy with that re-overtake. Lots of cheering from the crowds. Great to see everyone getting so animated about the brilliant racing out on track today. And this could be a very exciting battle here between Charlie Page and Chester Fawkes. We saw that in the earlier heat, and I'm very happy to see that continue here for heat number 2. Battle is going on behind, though, the 48 versus the 65. There through goes the 65. Oh, sorry, the 48 even. Oh, we've got a spin. The leader, the 33 of Charlie Page, has a spin exiting Stadium Bend there. Bit of contact, I'm being told, through my earpiece there between himself and the 38 of Chester Fawkes. We'll have to wait and see what the stewards decide on that one as to who was at fault, but it did look like Chester Fawkes was on the inside. A little bit of a tap in the rear makes you mad, makes you furious, and round goes Charlie Page, drops him to the back of the pack. And now Chester Fawkes is leading this one with Oscar Kenny, I believe it is, in his wheel tracks. There indeed is Oscar Kenny in the 48, so he was who we saw make the move through Stadium Bend earlier on in that lap. He took Darren Dimitrov. Is that Darren Dimitrov up to the lead? He's done very well through that incident there then. So through the incident, Darren Dimitrov has taken to the lead. Oscar Kenny now back behind him. And Chester Fawkes also losing out because of that incident as well. So I thought Chester Fawkes had just carried on. But no, Chester Fawkes also dropping down to 5th place. So that incident not going well for either of them. And it's actually William Crombie in the 15 who's getting involved with this battle for the lead now. He's just set the fastest lap of the race. A 47.738 for William Crombie. As they go now under the gantry to start a new lap of this race once again. A little check over the shoulder for Oscar Kenny. Knows he's under a bit of pressure from William Crombie. However, he's also putting Darren Dimitrov under some pressure as well. Still 5.5 minutes left to go. The 48 was closing in pretty quickly there down to hairpin 1, but not able to make any move. And that's to stay behind for now anyway. Who is that in 4th? That's Chester Fawkes there, just looking to get himself back involved with this lead battle. And Chester set the fastest lap of the race once again on that last lap, 45.792. So currently sat in 4th, but I think we can count on him being involved in this lead battle in no time at all. As there we go. Look to me, I have an updated itinerary hopefully now, so I can know what is going on during the day. But we look back to these battles. As there we go, that is definitely correct. Thank goodness. I shall pass that to my producer at the lunch break as well. Here we go then. Bambino IAME's continuing through on lap number 4 of this second heat of the day. Still in the lead is Darin Dimitrov. He's dealing with the pressure very well, is Darin. The 48 of Oscar Kenny still just behind, with William Crombie still for company. The gap back to Chester Fawkes was 1.2 seconds, now 0.9, but look at this, dives for the lead, does the 48, sees the opportunity and goes for it, does Oscar Kenny. Through he goes, up into the lead of the race, and what a move it was, up the inside at Stadium Bend, absolutely textbook. But when we've still got this drying line, or it's still pretty wet offline, it's still an impressive move to do. However, look at this, switchback, they're going to be side by side down into pylon. However, the 48 will have the inside line, and Oscar Kenny will hold on to that lead. So Darin Dimitrov still fought pretty hard for that, but wide goes the 48. He's going to have the inside, but no, gets him back round the inside, does Darin Dimitrov. So although on your timing it's going to look like nothing has happened, you will know from watching the stream or watching trackside that that was a very interesting lap. Darin Dimitrov, though, back to the front, has fought his way nicely. Oh no, that's wide for the 48 of Oscar Kenny. That's going to lose him second place, might even lose him third as well, as now Chester Fawkes. He's back involved with this lead battle, and we've still got 3 minutes to go. Anything could happen here in this heat number 2 for Bambino IAME, and everyone up on the balcony in the main building going crazy. It's brilliant to hear. They're loving the action out on track, and I cannot call this. I do not know who is going to win this race. Is it going to be Darin? Is it going to be Oscar? Or could we see an upset? Could we see William or Chester come through to take this? Side by side once again across the start-finish line. Just about fends him off. And is that William Crombie to the lead? What a move, son! Got third place on the last lap, up to second. Now up into the lead goes the number 15. I thought it was the 48 of Oscar Kenny coming through, but no, William Crombie does the upset that I was talking about on that last lap, and through he goes to the lead. Oh, what a lap there in the Bambino IAME. As I say, there's not a chance that I could call this. As William Crombie now goes to the front. One of the spinners earlier, Charlie Page, just sets the fastest lap of the race, a 44.472 for him. Now, he's within a second of this battle. I think he might even be on it already. As he is indeed. That's him in the 33 at the back of the pack. So despite Chester and Charlie coming together earlier on in this race, they are very much back within a shot of getting the winners. Oh no, there's more contact. That was Charlie Page going for the double overtake there down at hairpin 1. He got one move done and dusted, but then dived for the inside once again, couldn't get that one sorted and had to feed in behind. So that actually meant that Oscar Kenny was the one that lost out from that. He was the one that was forced wide by Charlie and thus dropped down the order. The leaders going side by side through Complex Duvel, but no move paying off. But a bad exit from the leader has allowed the second place to go round the outside and down the start-finish straight. The 65 of Darin Dimitrov retakes the lead once again. We've got less than a minute left on the clock now, so 2 more laps on the road I would have a guess at. But Darin Dimitrov has now retaken the lead away from William Crombie. I'm not going to have a voice left by the end of this race. This racing is absolutely fantastic. But Charlie Page looks to have made his way through now past Chester Fawkes as well, and there he is in the 33 kart. He's only got a couple more laps to try and get himself involved with this lead battle. Let's all look at that, just touching the wet patch on entrance there into pylon. Did William Crombie, who got him just a little bit shaky going on the entrance, but managed to keep it in a straight line. And they go now through to start another lap. I do believe this will be the penultimate lap of the race. 35 seconds were on the clock when they went over the start-finish line. And the 65 of Darin Dimitrov defending like his life depends on it. He leads them down to hairpin 1. That's a good bit of overspeed for the 15 though, but thinks better than doing a move there. as he now has Charlie Page for company. Not any longer. Charlie Page goes down the inside. He's going to go wide though. They're going to have a run down towards pylon, but Charlie Page gets a great exit and up into P2 he goes. What a fight back this will be for Charlie Page. He's fought all the way back from what was basically stone dead last, I think, up into P2 already. And oh no, the leader goes wide. The leader's in the wall. The leader is in the wall at the final corner. The 65 of Darin Dimitrov just touches a bit of a wet patch and off into the wall he goes. He looks okay. We're going to try and get some marshals over to him. Hopefully he's all right, but you'd never like to see someone's race come to an end like that. But Darin Dimitrov gives up the lead there to Charlie Page as we go on to the last lap of the race. I'm so sad to see Darin Dimitrov's race finish like that. He had a fantastic race up to this point, but just we've seen that happen in a number of races now where drivers just get a little bit wide and the wall comes up very quickly. But look at this. Look who finds himself in the lead. Charlie Page, the number 33, after finding himself facing the wrong way at the first corner, fights back through to take the win here in Bambino IAME Heat number 2. What a win, and you deserve that fist pump, Charlie. What a win for yourself. William Crombie, a brilliant race from him too, ended up in P2. And Chester Fawkes fought his way back through nicely as well to round out the podium. As yeah, he should be very happy about that. Charlie Page pumping the air. I'm sure he is ecstatic, securing maximum points there from heat number 2. Behind the podium positions, Oscar Kenny ended up in P4 with Albert Farrow in P5 and then Freddie Baker in P6. And sadly, Darin Dimitrov leading going on to the last lap, just finds the wall on the exit there. He looked to be okay, and his car definitely was okay, but obviously we've just got to hope that he'll be fine and that he'll be making an appearance for heat number 3 later on today. As yes, you are correct. On the live timing, I've been told through my ear, it has gone back to the result from the start of the last lap, and it says on the timing that at 12:34 a red flag was called. So, although obviously we didn't see that out on track, but officially on the finishing timing a red flag was called and then the checkered flag went out. So Darin Dimitrov in the 65 was the one who went to the wall at the final corner, has now been reinstated as your race winner. So I believe the officials have called it as a red flag and have counted back 1 lap. So Charlie Page made up to P2 on the last lap, on the second last lap, and then grabbed P1 at the dying moments with Darin going off. So Charlie Page has just had an absolute roller coaster of emotions, driving his cool down lap, fist pump in the air, thinking he's won, and now I think he's going to get the bad news that actually he would have dropped down to 3rd place by the end of that. And those are really the biggest changes on that last lap. Everyone else obviously drops a position. William Crombie stays in P2, so it has no effect on him, but Chester Fawkes then drops down to P4, Oscar Kenny P5, Albert Farrow P6, I've done that twice now, and Freddie Baker in P7. As the grandstand seems to be getting busier and busier here at Rye House. And bringing the packed lunch as well. I'm getting a bit peckish, to be honest, myself. It just made me really want my sandwich now. But I'll have to wait until we come to the second round of heats. I think I can wait. The racing is keeping me alive and keeping me excited. And it certainly has been brilliant. So there, it's even when sometimes you'll go to kart tracks and for something like this, you'll be a bit nervous. 7 karts out there. You'll be thinking, oh, it's a 950 meters long track. Like, is there going to be any good racing? Well, that certainly proved it. That was 8 minutes non-stop battling for the lead with 3, 4, 5 of them at points involved. Absolutely fantastic from the Bambino IAMEs, and yeah, just like I've been told in my ear, how gutted must Charlie Page be in the 33 there, thinking he's got that race win, a well-fought race win after that earlier spin, earlier bit of contact, I think it was actually, with Chester Fawkes. Fought his way back through nicely. To no fault of his own was that incident earlier. Fought his way back through nicely to take the win on the road, but has had that win taken away from him
after the count back a lap because of the red flag that was called. So the drivers now pushing their karts back into the pit lane, into the scrutineering area. So IAME Bambino Heat number 2 comes to a close, and it will be the 177 Rotaxes who'll be making their way out onto the circuit shortly to get their third heat of the weekend underway. Now, quite a difference between the IAME Bambinos to the Rotax 177s. The Rotax 177's just a little bit faster. And some great names, both from Ryehouse IKR and from further afield as well, involved in the Rotax 177s. So now I have a proper working itinerary. I've got a little bit more time to let you know your grid order as the drivers now exit the pit lane. Gordon Chennerly in the number 28 is who will be lining up on pole position. Alongside him, Lee Todd on the number 36. Then on row number 2, it will be Chris Rance and George Hunter. Row number 3, John Cornell and Nicholas Walker. Row 4, Hayden Carter and Ryan Taylor Truman. Row number 5, it's Welsh Reese and Tyler Kelsey. And row 6, Joe Hunt and Daniel Gibbs. Row 7, Richard Allison and Tom Thompson. And then finalising your 15 kart grid, it's Dimitri Mandrick. So once again, 15 drivers taking to the start here in the Rotax 177s, the big boys, as I like to call them. 177 kilos, the combined weight between the driver and the kart. And lots of power to offset that as well, so they're nice and quick. And now we're on to dry tyres. We should really see some quick pace here in the 177s, but here we go then. They go under the gantry, and we get heat number 3 underway. Who's going to take the lead into the first corner? A couple of drivers right up on the curbs there, just trying to force their way through on the inside, but all managing to keep it on the black stuff for now anyway. We head down to hairpin 1. And all jostling for positions there. How are they going to end up by the time they get back to that gantry at the end of lap 1? Oh, that's a late dive bomb. There might be a bit of contact there between 2 of the drivers, and there is, but luckily they're both keeping it in a straight line. I'm not sure who it was that dived to the inside there. I think it might have been the 65 of Ryan Taylor Truman, but luckily nothing too bad coming from it. Right, let's count them through as they come under the gantry. Gordon Chennerly still leads. George Hunter has made his way up to P2. Hayden Carter now in 3rd place. Behind them, Lee Todd and Chris Rance. That was a good move there from the 63 of John Cornell. He's made his way through on Chris Rance for 5th place. And there's a battle going on as well between the 50 and the 8. George Hunter and Hayden Cater going for us. Oh no! 3 wheels on your wagon, and he's not rolling along. The 65 comes to a stop there on the exit of hairpin 2. Ryan Taylor Truman, the entire, not just the wheel, the entire assembly around it has come away from the kart there. And that is definitely a race-ending injury for the kart for Ryan Taylor Truman. He was running well in P7 there, but yeah, that's certainly not a healthy kart. And he's dropping down to the back of the pack. We've also lost Richard Allison already from this race as well. He has pulled into the pits, I think, after lap number 1. But here we look back to this battle. This is from 3rd place down, I believe. No, this is 4th place down. That's the 73, no, the 63. That's a back marker. That's why I'm getting confused. Oh, look at that, how close they are through the first couple of corners. So this is the battle for 2nd. George Hunter is there. That's the 28 of Gordon Chennerly. So no, this is the battle for the lead. Count me wrong. This is the battle for the lead. Gordon Chennerly still leading them, but under lots of pressure now from, I believe that's Hayden Cater in the number 8. So Hayden Cater has moved his way past George Hunter, and now all over the rear end of Gordon Chennerly. And he wants that win. 5.5 minutes left to go here in heat number 3, and he pulls out of the slipstream. He's going to go for it down into the first corner and makes it stick. Oh, the 50 tries to follow him through. Does George Hunter locks up one of his tyres, trying to slow it down to not make any contact with Gordon Chennerly, and manages to do so. Very nicely done from George Hunter, but has to settle for 3rd place for now anyway. But through goes Hayden Cater up into the lead. And
And now his one and only mission is to try and drive away. He's got 5 minutes to do so. And he's got to try and not think about the pressure from behind. But I can tell you who is thinking about the pressure from behind. The number 28 of Gordon Chennerly now. Checks over his shoulder, going down the start-finish straight. Knows that George Hunter's all over him, and George Hunter might try it here, down into hairpin 1. Does go through, makes it stick. Job done. Very nice little move there from the number 50. And up he goes into second place. And now he's going to want to try and catch Hayden Cater, who's already built almost half a second gap over those two in second and third place respectively now. So as they come under the gantry, what is that gap looking like? Yes indeed, just under half a second. But George Hunter, despite making a move on that lap, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 36.384 for George Hunter. So this battle for the lead, definitely not over just yet. That was a bit of a dive bomb there from the 63 of John Cornell. Ends up losing a position because of it. I think actually that was just the position that he was trying to gain. He went for it on Lee Todd to try and take P4, but overshot it massively. And gets a bit of a bump there from Joe Hunt. He's made his way through on Chris Rance for 6th place on that last lap. Joe Hunt, just a little bit of a tap on the rear bumper as they went through pylon. Just Joe Hunt underestimating how quickly John was going to slow down at the apex, but managed to hold the slide that was caused by that bit of contact. And they continue on for another lap. Look at this. George Hunter, another fastest lap on the last lap, and he has closed up that gap massively. They've already dropped Gordon Chennerly. Gordon Chennerly just did not have the pace to offer here in this heat. And he's now starting to get reeled in by Lee Todd. To be fair, does have a good little bit of a gap. So hopefully he can hold on for the next 3 minutes, for his sake anyway, as George Hunter sets a fastest lap once again. 36.124 for George this time. And he's now just trying to think about it. Where can I sell this move? Where can I get it done where he can't then fight me back? And Hayden knows it. Check over the shoulder down that back straight as they headed down towards pylon. He knows he's under a lot of pressure here as they now head onto lap number 9. Continues to check over his shoulder just to see whether George is going for that move or not. We have seen that the move at Stadium Bend has been quite the popular one. Or down at hairpin 1, and he tries it, forces it right to the apex there, does the leader, but through he goes. George Hunter makes that move stick, and it's done. He's up into the lead, is George now. Hayden saw it, but just a little bit too late. He tried to dive to the apex, but George was already enough alongside to mean that he could do it. Went right across the curb, and they were still going straight as they'd already gone past the corner, basically. So both of them going quite wide, and that means that the gap from themselves back to Gordon Chennerly closed by almost a second, or over a second on that last lap. However, I don't think that's going to do too much, as there's a move. That's John Cornell, is it down the inside, and then is immediately re-overtaken once again by Lee Todd on the 36 plate kart. So this is your battle for 4th place. And John Cornell also has Joe Hunt for company as well. Don't count him out. Joe Hunt, of course, being your IKR champion for 2022, I think was actually hard fought against John Cornell. So old battles die hard. And they're dying hard once again. He's going to try it once again. Down into hairpin 1 is John Cornell, and he's going to try and follow through. Wow, that was lovely from Joe Hunt. He put that on the brakes perfectly, didn't lose any exit speed, and that's 2 positions lost in 1 corner for Lee Todd. So Lee now finding himself down in 6th place, and he now has Tom Thompson for company. So it's going to be a battle between John Cornell and Joe Hunt for that 4th place. 35 seconds on the clock. So it's going to be close. I would imagine we'll go on to the last lap next time around. But here is your leader, George Hunter. He certainly has not dropped Hayden Cater, not at all. So he did a very nice move earlier on in this race. But does Hayden Cater have anything to answer for? Does he have a reply for that kind of move? Can he sell his own one? Are we going to be going on to the last lap here? It looks like we will, by what the timing is saying. So here we go then. Oh, he is going to try it. Squeezes open the door at the first corner and makes it stick. So less than 950 metres to go of this heat number 3 for a Rotax 177. And does Hayden Cater knows it, holds it to the inside, goes to the inside to defend once again, forces the 50 to the outside, but can he go up and under? No, he can't quite get that switch back. So it is going to be Hayden Cater leading them through Sector 3 here. Only maybe 1 or 2 opportunities here for George Hunter. What can he do? He's going to try it. Oh, late there. Just gets his nose cone chopped off. It was a good attempt, but not quite good enough, as it does mean that Hayden Cater is going to take that win on the final lap of the race. Takes it away from George Hunter, who does come home with that P2. Some good respect there between the drivers, a little fist bump after the flag. There was some good racing, and George Hunter did try a cheeky move there through Complex Nouvelle, but Hayden Cater just chopped him off, said that is not going to be happening, and takes the win there in heat number 3. Gordon Chenelly rounded out the podium positions, and John Cornell did end up holding off Joe Hunt for 4th place and set the fastest lap of the race in the process, a 36.071 for John Cornell. Tom Thompson was there in 6th place. He managed to get past Lee Todd on the last couple of laps. Lee Todd ending up in 7th. And there is the 65 of Ryan Taylor-Truman. You can see there, the front left, non-existent. No longer attached to that kart, and that is far from ideal. Hopefully, we'll be able to see him out for the final this afternoon. Of course, these heats are all the last heats for all of these drivers. Some of them had 1 today, some of them had a qualifying, and all of them have had 2 today. And then they will be moving on to the finals, of course, later this afternoon. Let's run through the rest of the order now. Of course, Lee Todd ending up in P7, Chris Rance in P8, Welsh Reese in P9, and Nicholas Walker rounding out your top 10. Then it was Tyler Kelsey in 11th, Daniel Gibbs in 12th, then Dimitri Mandrick in 13th, and Richard Allison in 14th. So actually, we didn't lose Richard Allison there. He had a very slow first lap, so I think possibly had an incident or a spin that I didn't quite see. But hey, look, that's where I am. I'm in that window. Hello. I don't know if you can actually see me waving. Hello. There's me. And then Richard Allison, yes, of course, did finish in 14th. And Ryan Taylor-Truman, who we just saw having his kart popped up onto the kart stand and taken back to the pit lane. 3 wheels on his wagon, no longer rolling along. And he's going to have to walk back to the pit lane. And indeed, hopefully we'll see him back out for the final later on. So that was the 177 Rotax's heat number 3. Next up is the Junior Rotax's heat number 3. Here we are. Here is their grid. So 15 drivers once again for this upcoming race. Still absolutely packed here at Rye House. Fantastic to see just the amount of people getting involved, and not only racing but spectating, and it's absolutely brilliant to have all these people here enjoying the spectacle that is the 2022 Rye House London Cup. The racing has been brilliant so far. You're not going to want to click away if you're watching at home on Motorsport Radio or on the Rye House YouTube and Facebook channels. Keep watching. And then, of course, we'll have a few more heats, then we'll be going to a lunch break, and then we'll be getting on with the finals in the afternoon. Before that, this is heat number 3 for Junior Rotax. Let's run you through your grid. Milo Madison lines up on pole for this one on the 77 plate. Alongside him on the 39 plate is Oliver Sander. Behind them, row 2 sees Liam Phillips and Jack Gillingham. Then it's Shaquille Joseph and Jensen Powers on row number 3. Row 4, Jake Riches and Joseph McVie. Behind them, row 5, Rio Ramadan and Bradley Keaton. Row number 6, Eric Wilk and Paolo Nunes Aranda. He had a little spin in his earlier heat from starting on pole, but he fought back through nicely. Let's see what he can do from P12. Then row number 7, Daniels Kurinox and Jugas Krabilonis. And then rounding out the 15 kart grid is William Murphy. As all drivers really trying to slow down quickly there as we come around the final corner. Hopefully they can get it started. First time of asking who's going to be leading into the first corner, though. We're soon going to find out. Here we go then. Oh, squeezed out the outside and into the barrier. The leader already off. Not even done one corner yet, and Milo Manderson finds the barrier on the outside. And let's be honest, he had a bit of a helping hand there from Sorry, no, it's Oliver Sander. Oliver Sander is the one in the barrier. It was Milo Manderson who was on the inside. Milo Manderson just swept a little bit wide and forced out wide Oliver Sander. And Oliver Sander, once that, you could see him wrestling with the wheel. Nothing he could do. He was on his way to the scene of the accident. Luckily, we saw him jump straight up and out of the car. He's totally fine, but of course, he's really frustrated with that start of the race as he was starting on pole. He thought, this is it, this is going to be my good result for the day, a top 3 definitely on the cards, but no, he finds the wall, and that means he's going to be ending up in P15 is Oliver Sander. So now let's look back to the proper racing that's going on. Joseph McVie now finds himself at the front of the field. He's followed by Liam Phillips on the number 3 car, and Milo Manderson, who was on pole, now finds himself in 3rd place. So Joseph McVie started down in 8th place. Joseph McVie started in 8th place, row number 4 for the start of this one, and now finds himself in the lead. Brilliant start for Joseph McVie. And if he can steal away maximum points here in heat number 3, that's going to put him in brilliant stead for the final later on today. Here he is in that number 74 plated car, heading through pylon. However, it's a lot easier said than done holding on to the win here. He's got Liam Phillips for company in that number 3 plate, around half a second behind. And that gap halved on that last lap. Liam Phillips sets the fastest lap of the race. 36.321 for Liam Phillips. And he can smell that victory. He wants it. And look at that, closing in heavily down at hairpin 1. He's going to do the same at hairpin 2. And now he's right in the wheel tracks of Joseph McVie. How long is Joseph McVie going to be able to hold off this charge from Liam Phillips? And if they battle, is that going to allow for Milo Manderson and Jake Riches to get involved with this lead battle as well? You can see them in the back of the shot there. And then the battle behind, Shaquille Joseph fighting Bradley Keaton. Gigas Pravilonis, he's having a great race up to P7. This could be it. Oh, I thought that might be the move on for first place, but no. Joseph McVie does well, covers the inside off. Does the same at hairpin 2, but look at that, like I said, any battling, and they're going to allow for 3rd place to get involved here. Oh, squeezed out onto the curb there was Liam Phillips. Joseph McVie was having none of that, was not allowing for him to dive down the outside at pylon there, and squeezed him off onto the curb. But indeed, the 77 of Milo Manderson now very much involved with this battle. Less than 4 tenths separating your top 3 drivers now as they head through down to hairpin 1. That's all wide for the leader. That could allow for a good exit, but no, he still holds the inside line, so you'd expect him to have it through here. Goes early on the brakes, gets a good exit, but what a move around the outside for the number 3 of Liam Phillips, and he takes the lead of the race. What a brilliant move from Liam Phillips there. I thought because Joseph McVie had that inside line that it would be pretty textbook, power out of the corner and hold it, but no. Through goes Liam Phillips, and you've got a new leader of your race as we now just close in on halfway done. William Murphy actually now takes the fastest lap of the race. He sat down in 8th place, drops down into the 35s, the first driver to do so, a 35.973 for William Murphy. We've seen how quick he has been in previous races, but I think the gaps between the packs now have just opened up a little bit too much for him to get any sort of meaningful finishing position in this one. But look at this, Liam Phillips already starting to build out a nice little gap at the lead now. Over the line last time, it was just over a tenth of a second. That's now been built up to nearly half a second on that last lap. And Joseph McVie under lots of pressure from Milo Manderson. Here's a good battle though. That's Eric Wilk, I believe, in the 22. It is indeed. He's leading William Murphy. William Murphy is super quick though, and he's not going to waste any time. Goes down the inside at hairpin 1. Done and dusted. He is up into 6th place. He once again went even faster on the last lap. Still the only driver in the 35s. Now a 35.927 for William Murphy. He's up into 6th place. However, the gap from himself to that battle for first is over 3 seconds. So it's going to be a really tall order for him to reel in those drivers and get anything better than a 6th place finish here. But He's gone even faster, a 35.890. So don't count that out. That's a little bit of a kerfuffle going on behind. That's Jack Gillingham making his way through. He's following the number 16 through. That's Jensen Powers. And I think they were battling with Bradley Keaton, I think it was. As here we look back to the leaders. Liam Phillips continuing to build out that lead. That lead now at a second. But only around 2/10 between second place of Joseph McVie and third place of Milo Manderson. You can see there, he could barely fit a piece of A4 paper in between McVie's rear bumper and Manderson's front bumper. And if these two do start to go for any moves, you can see there Jake Richards and Shaquille Joseph are right there, ready and waiting. There's a bit of contact there, and that's knocked the rear bumper off. That has knocked the rear bumper off of Jake Richards' kart. He might not know it, but we can see it on the camera. So I think he's going to get a mechanical flag for that. To no fault of his own, he had to brake because Milo broke, and then Shaquille had to brake, couldn't brake hard enough, and went into the back of him. So that's a broken bumper for the 21, and it is running along the floor. So we might see a mechanical flag go out here for the number 21, which would be a gutting way to end the race, because Jake and Shaquille have been pushing through the field really, really nicely. But William Murphy still with that fastest lap of the race, now down into the 35.7s. He's almost a second faster than our leading group. How has he found this pace? It's ridiculous from William Murphy. But once again, it seems he can only get 6th place. 77 there, Milo Manderson thought about the move on Joseph McVie down into hairpin 1. But then as he stepped on the brakes, thought better of it as the door quickly closed. No way is that William Murphy. That's William Murphy! He's caught up! How has he done that? That's ridiculous. He's caught up, a 3.5 second gap in a number of laps. As we go on to the penultimate lap of the race, here goes the move on the 21. So that's Shaquille Joseph going through. William Murphy is going to follow him through as well. So Jake Richards down from 4th to 6th in the matter of corners, and indeed Jake Richards gets that mechanical flag that I was speaking of. As all down the inside, William Murphy tries it. It was late, and he isn't going to get a good run off the corner. So Shaquille Joseph's going to stay ahead in 4th place. So now anyway, I think it's not going to... there you go, the 21 pulls off into the pit, so Jake Richards has to end his race there. So this, we now go on to the penultimate lap. This is the second to last lap of the race, and Liam Phillips still leading comfortably. 2 seconds in the lead. I have got no last lap on my timing, so I'm pretty sure it is indeed the penultimate lap of the race. As here we continue to watch this battle for third. Milo Manderson highly pressuring Joseph McVie, the battle for second, I should say, as they come around the final corner. So now I believe they will be starting the final lap of the race. Yes, they do. Last lap confirmed on the timing, eking that gap out to over 2 seconds now as Liam Phillips. William Murphy has now made his way through on Shaquille Joseph up into 4th place. Still got a second and a half up to the second and third battle though, so highly unlikely he's going to get back to 4th. But I mean, I said that about 6th, so I'm not going to count anything out at this stage. Let's look at that battle for second continues. Milo thought he got a good exit, but not quite good enough, I don't think, in the background. But Liam Phillips, what a race. Made his way through nicely with a brilliant move, has controlled the race since then, and takes a well-deserved win in the Junior Rotax Heat number 3. Battles all the way to the line, up and down the field there. And some great runs to the line. Joseph McVie managed to fend off Milo Manderson there all the way to the flag. There was less than a 1/10 of a second between them, less than 900ths of a second between them when they came across the line there between Joseph and Milo, but they rounded out the podium positions. William Murphy managed to get up into 4th, and look at that, the number 20, that's Rio Ramadan losing his wheel on the last lap. But no, not on the last lap. That looks to be after the flag. So indeed it is. It's down at Reg's elbow. But he is classified as a finisher, I do believe. Yeah, it looks like he's classified as a finisher. He's finished 15 laps, the same as the leaders. But then he's come round Stadium Bend and into Reg's elbow, and the right rear tyres just said, no thanks mate, I don't fancy being a tyre anymore, I want to be free, and it's leapt off of the kart itself. So luckily Ramadan it did make it to the flag and is classified as a finisher, but still they have a bit of a job to get that tyre back on for the final later on today. So let's continue your order. William Murphy managed to get up to 4th, fastest lap of the race, was nearly half a second quicker than anyone else. Over 4/10 of a second quicker. Ridiculous pace from William Murphy to come home in P4 there. Shaquille Joseph ended up in 5th place. Behind him was Eric Wilk, then Daniels Kurinox, then Jugas Pravilonis. I will get that right at some point, I promise, mate. Great race from him, up into P8 from right at the back of the grid, so made up a lot of positions there. Did Jogas. Then Jensen Powers and Jack Gillingham rounded out the top 10. Behind them, Paolo Nunes Aranda and Rio Ramadan, who we saw there with no tyre. He was classified as P12. Jake Richards, of course, had to come in with that mechanical after being bumped into the final corner. His rear bumper dropped to the ground, and that means that's an instant mechanical. And also, we lost Bradley Keaton earlier on in the race, on lap number 9. And then also Oliver Sander. He didn't make it to the start, sadly, did Oliver Sander. We saw him have a good race in heat number 2 earlier on today, so sad to not see him back out as, yay, we're back on dog watch. New dogs this time. Good British Bulldog. He wants to go up in the grandstand. He wants to get a better vantage points to... But either way, it's understandable. People noticing they're on camera and immediately run away. That's understandable. If you're happy to be on camera, then you can give us a little wave. We're watching on the live stream. And lots of people braving the cold weather here today to watch the fantastic race. Their second heat of the day. Let me try and find their grid if I can. There we go. Race number 15. And of course, Honda Cadet, our bumper grid for today. 29 drivers on the grid for this one. It's always... pandemonium, I think, is a good word for it. Honda Cadet races are usually quite a pandemonious occasion, but always produce brilliant racing. So I think now the driver who lost his wheel at the end of that one, Rio Ramadan, has now had his kart cleared. I can see another kart stand running down the back straight. I think that's for a kart. Yes, indeed, that is for Rio's kart. It's been pulled over behind the barriers. So hopefully it's not going to be too long until we see our Honda Cadet drivers exiting the pit lane once more. And they'll filter their way out on the circuit and we'll get the race underway once again. I, for one, am extremely excited for this race to get underway. Kenzo Craigie on pole, Charlie Wolfett alongside. It's going to be a brilliant battle. I cannot wait. But of course, if you're watching online, on both the Motorsport Radio YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitch channel, and of course the Rye House YouTube channel and Facebook page, make sure you're getting involved, you're getting active, you're liking the stream, liking our pages, sharing, subscribing, all of that good stuff, and obviously sharing it with everyone you think would enjoy watching today's live action and live coverage. We weren't sure we were going to have live coverage here for the London Cup, but we do because it's such a brilliant event. It couldn't be left uncovered, and that's why we've been able to bring you this fantastic footage. So a big shout out to all the Motorsport Media, Motorsport Radio team, all of the camera operators that are out there, and of course my lovely producer who's chatting away in my ear throughout today. It's all going fantastically well so far. That was not a criticism, don't worry. That was good. I mean, minus the power cut, yes, that's very true. The stuff that's out of our control, that hasn't gone so well. But right, let's run you through your bumper grid here for heat number 2 in Honda Cadet. As I say, Kenzo Craig and Charlie Wolfett are on row number 1. Behind them, Oliver Mieski, then it's Cole Denham, then Luca Holmes-Ballack and Oliver Spencer. Then we see Thomas Hill, Finley Lyons, Hayden Fisher and John Richardson rounds out the top 10. Then it's Fenton Stoneman, Kean Sullivan, Sergio Wirtz, Albie Smith, Ashley Haas, then Ethan Okoro, Ayrton Rai, Connor Winfield, Elliot Burke and Ernest Hanger rounds out the top 20. They're followed by Samir Poole, Arthur Way, Arjen Poole, Zach Hunt, Benediktas Mazioskas, Ismail Vargan, then Harry Samuel, Dylan Redding and Dylan Suresh rounds out 29 drivers taking to the start in this heat number 2 for Honda Cadet. Kenzo Craigie gives a little bit of a check over his shoulder. Can barely even see the back of the grid. There's so many karts involved in this one. But both Kenzo and Charlie looking unfazed on that front row of the grid. I'm sure with this amount of drivers on the grid, there's plenty of people stood at the side of the circuit now or watching on our live stream at home who are all getting a little bit nervous for this one to get underway. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic race. We've got the thumbs up from the marshal. Soon you'll hear the engine's notes rise. And once the light goes green, they'll be underway and racing. A good start from P2, but has to feed in behind Kenzo Craig. It says, oh no, there's a crash. Oh no, a big crash there at the start. I was hoping no one would have a big collection. Luckily, we didn't see any of that. Most drivers managing to have some sort of avoiding action there and dive towards a barrier on the outside or have a little bit of a spin. But I feel like we might have a false start called for that one. I haven't seen anything come up on the timing just yet, so we'll call you round. As, yeah, some of the drivers really stuck there. We've got the 47 and the 27 involved. 47 of Arthur Way, we can see there on his Red Bull liveried kart. The 27 as well, that's Connor Winfield, stuck in the barrier too. Who's that on the outside? Is that, I want to say, it looks like Sergio Wirtz's car. As there's a massive bug that started flying around in my commentary booth now. I thought he was my friend, but now he started flying at me and he's a bit scary. There's the number 20 as well, getting wheeled away. That's Dylan Redding. He, obviously, it could be nice starting at the back of the grid because you can sort of get involved in your own race and try and just slowly power your way through the field. The negative of starting at the back is that if there's a crash like that, someone gets spun across the field, there is just nowhere you can go. Everyone was diving left, right and centre, and look at that. That's what it means to the drivers. Out before the race could even really get underway, and the drivers are absolutely gutted. But you got to hold your head up high. Hold your head up high. You've got a final still to come later on this afternoon. Not all hope is lost. And you've still got plenty of time to try and get back those positions later on in the final, because you never know what could happen, particularly in Honda Cadets. And they're trying to get the 27 back underway. Is that the 27 or am I misreading it? It definitely looks like the 27 from where I'm looking from. And it is indeed Connor Winfield trying to get his engine back underway. But yeah, if you didn't see that on the live stream, it caught it very well. But if you're watching by the circuit, you may not have seen. It was just drivers trying to go 3, 4, even 5 wide at the start there. One driver just got forced up onto the curb, onto the grass on the outside, dipped the right rear on the outside grass, immediately spun left across the traffic. And by that time, everyone was diving left, right and centre, trying to make their way through. But of course, contact ensued. People went in the barriers. And of course, what played out. But I'm not sure how we're going to get this one back underway, whether we'll go back to grid order or whether, because we didn't complete a full racing lap, so I can only assume that we will be going back to the grid order that we started in. And also, as we didn't complete one lap, it's been considered a false start. So I do believe we'll be going from a grid start once again, rather than bringing it round to go single file, sort of safety car-esque restart. So yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what we're doing. Yes, so the drivers are all pulling now back round to the grid. Kenzo Craigie and Charlie Wolfett, the number 2 and the number 95 respectively, pulling up to their boxes, their grid spots. And I'm not actually sure how many drivers that we lost in that opening kerfuffle there. So yeah, indeed, I think a couple of them were able to be freed from the barrier, be freed from the very wet grass, and were able to get their engines back started, and will hopefully then be able to retake their actual grid spot. So hopefully them being involved in that incident won't actually have amounted to too much. However, of course, some of them were looking a little bit worse for wear than others, so I think we definitely did lose 1 or 2 karts from that one. But once we do get the race restarted and we have the drivers come over the start-finish line, then I'll be able to tell you on the timing who hasn't been able to make it to the first lap of the race. Got a couple of drivers disagreeing with where they should be on the grid. It's understandable, you always want a couple of extra positions, don't you? Might as well get a cheeky free position for your hard work. But no, I thought that was everyone. I thought we'd lost loads from the earlier incident, but no, still a lot of drivers hanging back and being told to hold back around pylon. I think we've still got, I'd put around, that's say around 10, 11, 12 drivers still to come to the grid, and there you go. You can see them on that camera, just slowly getting sent over to their grid spots. But the marshals and the staff here at Rye House always doing a fantastic job and making sure that despite difficulties like that, a big incident like that, all of the marshals were very quickly on the scene, making sure all the drivers were okay, and quickly dealing with the ensuing mess, getting karts that couldn't restart out of the way, getting karts that could restart, restarted, and then getting this grid sorted once again to get them back ready and waiting. However, one thing to consider for this is how long these drivers are going to be sat idling in these karts. The slick tyres are going to be completely stone cold by the time we get to the restart here, but I can only assume that they've lined them all up on the grid now, so that will mean that we are going to go straight into the race start once they've got everyone gridded up. And there's still a bit of disagreements between the driver and as there we go. So must have been someone involved in an incident who was then had to rejoin, but manages to get back into their grid spot. But they're going to be completely stone cold tyres there. Arthur Way, I can see in the background there, the 47, rejoining the grid. He was one of the ones we saw nestled into the barrier. So good to see a lot of the drivers actually making their way back into the race. These karts being very sturdy, being very safe. And although we had quite the incident there, well, firstly it was lucky that no one actually collected the initial spinner, because that was why I went a bit quiet. I was a little bit nervous there. That could have been quite the impact, but luckily all missing them and diving into their own accidents. But all seemingly okay after that one. It looks like we have lost a couple of people from the grid there that you can see there, a couple of spaces not being filled. But looks like we do have the thumbs up once again. And for the second time of asking, can we get heat number 2 for Honda Cadets underway? The driver's just waiting for that red light to appear. Once it does, they'll have the foot on the brake and then they'll smash onto the throttle, get those revs rising, and then as soon as the light goes from red to green, they'll be underway and racing, and here they are. Another good start from Kenzo Craigie, a little bit more of a poor start from the 95, but forces the 10 off onto the grass. He's going to have to now defend his third place as a couple more drivers are trying it around the outside, and he has lost out there, I think, has Oliver Miejski. He's lost a couple of positions as the battling continues throughout the pack. That's Arthur Way in the 47. He's made up a couple of spots there, as it all concertinas up down at hairpin 1. Who has managed to make it out ahead, and who is in this leading pack? Oh, that's a big spin and off. Is that the 28? It is indeed. Luca Herms-Ballock just got sideswiped slightly by another car, forced him off to the left. He tried to miss the barrier on the left and ended up in the wall. So Luca Herms-Ballock is out of the race, I do believe, unless they can get him restarted. It looks like he's jumping back in the kart, so hopefully he's going to be able to continue and at least take to the checkered flag, but he's not going to be able to get up back to the top positions. But here we look back to this battle of a second. Oliver Miejski back down the inside and retakes that second position that he tried to take on lap number 1, that was forced away from him. So Charlie Wolfett now down into 4th, but that's wide for Miejski, and up through goes Cole Denham. That's a name we haven't mentioned too much today, but a name I'm very used to mentioning. Cole is very, very quick in these Honda Cadet karts. And is that another position you're lost for Miejski? No, Miejski holds on, and Charlie Wolfett now sits behind him. But all of this is just allowing for Kenzo Craigie to continue to pull ahead in that number 2 car. However, fastest lap, I was going to say it goes to Cole Denham, actually goes to Thomas Hill down in 7th place. So if the battle continues, if Kenzo Craigie gets reeled in here by Cole, and also Oliver and Charlie, we could see this battle for lead go to being like 10 or 15 karts long, which, I mean, I'm not unused to seeing in Honda Cadets. It always produces brilliant long trains, all battling for first position. As they come through pylon once again into Complex Nouvelle, that's a cheeky move there. It isn't going to pay off. We've seen that, people trying the up and under out of pylon, but then through Complex Nouvelle, you've only got the outside line and it just does not work. You can't close them off to then take the apex through the final corner. Hasn't worked out for anyone just yet today. And it was Sergio Wirtz, I think, who it was that was trying that move that didn't quite pay off. The 42 there, defending heavily from the 6. That's Oliver Spencer trying to hold on to 5th place. Vinny Lyons piling on the pressure. Ahead of them, the battle for 4th continues as well between between Charlie Wolfer, and Oliver Bieski. So that's the battle for 3rd. My apologies. So here is the number 42. When we look back to the leaders now, there's Kenzo Craigie. And that gap is definitely closing. Cole Denham has closed that gap to just over 0.3 of a second now. Fastest lap on the last lap of the race for Cole Denham, 41.369 on that last lap around the circuit. And he is closing in nicely, but when can he go for that move? We now are looking at the 3rd place battle as Charlie Wolfer, as Oliver Mieski for company, 3 wide into pylon. I've never seen that before. And they all somehow managed to keep it facing in the same direction. Someone had to give up the position, and it looked to be a bright orange helmeted driver. I think that might be Thomas Hill, or was Thomas Hill in the green helmet. I'll try and pick them up as they come through once again. But this battle raging on. The 42 of Oliver Spencer now at the front of it, with indeed the 96 of Thomas Hill just behind. As here is your lead battle now. Cole Denham has closed the gap to Kenzo Craigie, and now there really isn't any gap at all. Cole Denham right in the wheel tracks of Kenzo, but we know how good of a racer Kenzo is, not only from his already long career despite how young he is, also just from today's racing as well. He was under loads of pressure from Charlie Wolfer. Charlie Wolfer was the faster driver in the earlier heats, but he couldn't get past Kenzo. Kenzo would allow him to overtake and then immediately get him back on the exit. Happened 3 or 4 times, and Kenzo got the win in the earlier heat because of that. Not the best exit from Kenzo there once again, but chops off the nose cone of Cole Denham. And speaking of Charlie Wolfer, fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 41.025, and he's now closing in on these leading 2 as well. Look, you can see him very much in this shot now as well, and he is also dragging Oliver Mieski along with him as well. Here might be the move for the lead, though. Goes for it down the inside, does Cole Denham. Squeezes Kenzo out to the outside, chops to the apex, and he's done it. Through goes Cole Denham up to the lead. Can Kenzo Craigie answer that at all? He does. Down the inside he goes, back into the lead, and the 95 of Charlie Wolfer follows him through. However, the re-attack there from Cole Denham sees him go back through. However, a better exit from Charlie Wolfer sees the re-overtake happen once again. So there has been a change. Cole Denham tries to get the lead, ends up in 3rd place, with Charlie Wolfer now in 2nd, and Kenzo Craigie now with a nice little gap once again in the lead. Read it perfectly, repassed like it wasn't even a care in the world for Kenzo, and he's back up to the front. But still checking over the shoulder as he goes down the start-finish straight, definitely feeling the pressure. And now down the inside goes Charlie Wolfer. Cole Denham's going to try and follow him through as well, and does. Squeezes Kenzo Craigie out to the curb, almost into the barrier. But Kenzo's able to chop off the nose cone of Oliver Mieski and keep that 3rd place. But it looks like that move is finally sealed and done. I never like to say that when Kenzo Craigie's been overtaken, but it looks like he'll have to settle for 3rd for now anyway. So Charlie Wolfer to the front of the field in the number 95 kart, and Cole Denham following him down the start-finish straight. as we head on to lap number 9. I can't take my eyes off this, and there's another move. Cole Denham back down the inside, and Kenzo Craigie follows him through. Kenzo Craigie's got a great overshot though, and he does. Down the inside, oh no, they're going to make contact. Through goes Charlie Wolfett, no he doesn't. Cole Denham's going to come back and retakes the lead, but that puts Kenzo Craigie down into 4th place. And look who's now getting involved. Finley Lines in the number 6 kart is very much involved in this battle now as well. We've got a 5 kart long train for the lead, and there's 3 more cars behind them as well who want to get involved too. 1 minute left to go on the clock. They're doing 41-second lap time, so I think we can assume 3 more laps left to go in this one, I would say. Possibly 2. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's look back to those leaders. Cole Denham still out in front. The 95 of Majewski, 95 of Wolfett did think about the move there, down into hairpin 1, but thought better of it. As my voice can barely even stay a voice. I'm having to shout so much, this action is so brilliant. As Kenzo Craigie still having to settle for 4th now. He was leading this race for so long, now he's going to have to try and pass 3 karts to retake this lead. Timer's on 15 seconds, so this is indeed going to be the penultimate lap of this Honda Cadet Heat number 2. Heat number 1 was brilliant. This is absolutely mesmerising. Cole Denham checks over the shoulder, but not late enough to the inside. Oh, they nearly make contact, and Charlie Wolfett's going to lose 1-2 positions there. Down to 4th place he goes. It's a little bit of a bump to Kenzo Craigie there through the second hairpin, and actually loses the position possibly to Vinnie Lines. Vinnie Lines is trying around the outside at pylon, but it's not going to work. So Kenzo Craigie up now to 3rd place. They've got 1 more lap to sort this out, fellas and fellitas. Who is going to take the win here? They're going to come across the start-finish line. They've got 950 metres to go, and they're coming up on back markers. This could be very, very interesting. Look at that. He's trying it. He's prized the door open. Through goes the 10 of Majewski. He's not led at all in this race yet, but it doesn't matter. He's leading now on the last lap. Kenzo Craigie's trying to follow him through, and he does so. Up to P2. Through goes the 95 of Wolfett as well. So Cole Denham goes from 1st to 4th in only half a lap. But now it is indeed Majewski who's leading them through towards the flag. They're coming up on the back markers. What's going to happen here? Can they make their way through easily? He does make his way through the first. He's going to get holed up at the last corner. Can he get a good exit? It's going to be a run to the line. He goes round the outside of the back marker, and it is going to be Oliver Majewski who takes the win. What a win in the Honda Cadet Heat number 2. That was unbelievable. I need a strong drink after that one. What a race. That is what I've come to expect from the Honda Cadets, and they do not fail to disappoint. What a win for Oliver Majewski. Kenzo Craigie ends up in P2. It looked like he could be outside of the podium at the end of that one, but manages to scrape back together a P2, and it's looking likely to have him, well, he's definitely going to be on the front row for that final later on today. But who's going to be joining them? I don't know if they know they finished the race. It's definitely ended, but they're coming through once again. And they're still checking over their shoulder, so I don't know if they think they finished the race. They're definitely still racing. We've had a couple of drivers pull into the pits who realise that it's ended. A couple of drivers continuing. So it's a fair point. My producer's saying, when in doubt, stay out. Yeah, if you're not 100% sure it's finished, keep going. But it was definitely a checkered flag there, and it was definitely Majewski to take the win. Charlie Wolfett rounded out the top 3, and Cole Denham was leading going on to the last lap, ends up in P4. That's how quickly it can change in the Honda Cadets. Thomas Hill rounded out the top 5. He was followed by Oliver Spencer, then Finley Lines, and then Hayden Fisher. Then Sergio Wirtz and Kean Sullivan rounded out the top 10. Behind them was Ashley Haas, Fenton Stoneman, Connor Winfield, Elliot Burke, Ayrton Rye, Samir Paul, Arjen Paul, Ernest Hanger, Albie Smith and Arthur Way rounded out the top 20. Then there was Harry Samuel, Ethan Okoro, Luca Holmes-Ballock. So fair play to Luke Holmes-Ballock after that incident on lap number 1. He was battling over sort of 5th or 6th place at the time. Ended up in the barrier, but managed to get back up to 23rd. Then it was Dylan Suresh in 24th, then Zach Hunt. Then Ismail Vargan and Benedictas Maziokas, who were the 2 back markers that we saw just getting overtaken at the end there. And then Dylan Redding, who stopped on lap number 10. So sadly for him. So we had we only had 1 driver then. Only 1 driver that actually went out after that big incident that we had at the opening corner. Well, it was before we even got to the opening corner. So Yeah, it was the little lad who was a bit frustrated and kicked the tyres in frustration, which is understandable. You never want to go out of a race like that, especially when you've literally just gone over the start-finish line to get it underway. But as I said earlier, you've still got a final to come, so all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost. Yes, but as I do say, we do indeed have finals to come this afternoon. It's going to be brilliant. After our lunch break, we'll have 7 finals, 1 for each class, of course. It's going to be brilliant. They're all 10 minutes plus a lap. That's going to be great. But before that lunch break, we've got one more heat coming at your eyeballs. We've got the senior Rotax Heat number 3. And indeed, they're coming out of the pit lane now. Let's see if I can grab their grid. Here they are. So let's run you through your running order of 27 drivers. Another bumper grid here for the senior Rotax final. George Hunter lines up on pole. Your Rye House IKR 2022 champion Liam Hurrell lines up alongside him on second place. Row number 2, Andrew King and Tommy Edmonds. Row 3, George Sanders and James Otto. Row number 4 is Ollie Ward and Max Miners. Row 5, Jack Powell and Sean Berry. Row number 6, Tom Pryor and Ryan Mills. Row 7, Adam Mead and Lucas Evaskivius. Row number 8, Ronnie Smith and Luke Collins. Then it's Bradley Barrett and Josh Burton. Then Josh Evans, Taylor Bellini, Christopher Harris, Mark Sayers, Benjamin Ballou, Kyle Dunford, Martin Jackson, Dudley Ruddock and Lorenzo Espinosa. Had to run through that a little bit quickly as the drivers are already almost making their way round the last corner. And we'll be getting the final heat of today underway. Now we go green here at Rye House in the senior Rotax Heat number 3. And into the lead goes the number 50. George Hunter does that as quickly as he can. We've got a couple of incidents down at the first corner, but all managing to keep it going. It looks like we've got a problem with the 45 of Lucas Abaskivius. If I can pronounce that correctly. I know it's a Polish name, so I apologise to anyone who's Polish listening how much I butcher that name, but it looked like he did have a problem with his car, so we'll try and keep an eye on that. You saw Kyle Dunford in the background there fighting his way through. That's a little bit wide for the 66. So that was Ryan Mills going wide. He tried to make a position, but then went wide, ended up losing 2 or 3, I think, through there. But your leader, George Hunter, already built a 0.7 of a second gap there at the front. Liam Hurrell in P2 under a little bit of pressure, though. There's a move down the inside, though. That's the 56 of George Sanders making his way through and past Liam Hurrell. So a change for second place there, down at hairpin number 1. Battles continuing behind as well. So here is your third place battle, being led currently by Andrew King, I believe. Got Tommy Edmonds and Jack Powell involved. And I think I am definitely right. The 23 of Tommy Edmonds was involved in one of my best ever karting commentary clips at one of the last Wilton Mill Kart Club rounds, where he had a bit of a crash into the barrier at the start-finish straight at Wilton. It wasn't ideal on the last lap of the race, but good to see him here at the London Cup. He's well and truly in the thick of the battle. I think he might have been overtaken by Jack Powell there for 5th place. That is indeed exactly what has happened. Jack Powell through up into 5th, Tommy Edmonds down to 6th, Andrew King still sat there in 4th as it stands. And we look back to them now. That is the number 5 of Andrew King, although he's under threat here now into the first corner. Oh, chops off the nose cone, and that was really close. I think there was a little bit of contact there between Andrew King and Jack Powell. But all of them keeping it. What a late move from Jack Powell. Sends it under braking and gets it stopped. What a move. And he's going to get swamped as well. The other drivers sending them way through as well on the second hairpin. Look at this battle behind. This is what? 6, 7, 8 karts involved, battling over one position here. Being led by the 32. So that's Max Miners. So this is a battle for 13th, I think. He's got Kyle Dunford for company, I think, behind him. As here we go. No, it's not Kyle Dunford. It's the 99 of Christopher Harris who he's got for company. So Kyle Dunford's already cleared this pack. It is Christopher Harris behind him, then Benjamin Ballou. Christopher Harris now ahead of him. Benjamin Ballou following through, and also the driver behind as well. Oh, gets forced out wide there. Does Max Miners. So Max Miners is going to drop from the front all the way to the back of this pack. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions lost in a single corner. Had to take to the escape route around the outside of the barrier there. Lost all his time and lost a lot of positions. So indeed it should be confirmed on the timing now. Christopher Harris up to 13th, and all the other drivers following suit as well. The 21 looked to have lost a position there. Indeed, Taylor Bellini losing a position to Bradley Barrett. We saw how quick Bradley Barrett was in the previous heat. We're seeing him coming through now. Oh, a little bit of contact to the rear bumper of the 47 there from Bradley. It does make his way through on Benjamin Ballou by the time they get down to pylon. As here we look at a move. Oh, the 23. Tommy Edmonds is really getting frustrated now, wants to make his way through past Jack Powell. Couldn't quite prise the door open that chance. He tries it once again. They're going to make contact. Oh no, a little half spin there for the 28 of Jack Powell. He's going to give him a little bit of a thud into the rear bumper just to say, yeah, thanks for that, mate. Was trying to dive to the apex, but wasn't going to happen. But that bit of contact has slowed them right up and has allowed for the gentleman behind to get involved as well. So it is now Tommy Edmonds in 5th, Jack Powell in 6th, but they've got Ryan Mills, Tom Pryor, Andrew King and Ronnie Smith, the company, and now looks like even more. I think Carl Dunford's getting involved as well, maybe even Andrew King, so down to 11th this battle, and it starts in 5th with Tommy Edmonds. There's a move though for 6th. Oh, a late one down the inside, but well done there, sir. 71 is that of Tom Pryor, moves up to 6th, and he's going to lose another position and another position. So it's not been an ideal lap for Jack Powell. He's dropped a couple of positions there. He's now 2nd in this train, I think, as Tommy Edmonds just begins to pull away. As Carl Dunford gives a little bit of contact with a 96. That would have been a scary, scary moment for Ronnie Smith there into the first corner. He's full lock turning in to a flat-out right-hander, and suddenly his rear right just takes off. That would have been very scary. Luckily, when it landed, he managed to keep it together and continued on, but lost a position to Kyle because of it. So Kyle is making his way through very nicely. Up now into 8th place is Mr. Dunford. And here we look back to the 71. So this is still Tom Pryor leading Jack Powell. Carl Dunford indeed confirmed on timing now through on Ronnie Smith, then Ryan Mills, Andrew King and James Otto, all in this little queue here from what is now really 6th downwards, and Carl Dunford goes for it up the inside, down a hairpin 1. Jobs are good in. Easy as that. Oh, and they're going to lose another position there, as that's a cheeky move, maybe even lose another one on exit. So the 28 of Jack Powell loses a position to Carl Dunford, and then also to Ronnie Smith, and now under pressure from Ryan Mills as well. Now they're battling over 8th place. Oh, sorry, 9th place even. As we head on to another lap. 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. Drivers lapping in sort of the 35 seconds. So I think we're definitely going to get 3, if not 4 laps here. Another move at hairpin 1. Kyle Dunford loves that cheeky move, and he's made it stick once again, up to P6, past Tom Pryor this time. And now he's got his sights set on Tommy Edmonds in that 5th place. Quite a few contact warnings during this race, which is understandable. They're racing pretty close. Actually, no, I scrolled down. Only 5, to be fair. We've seen more in earlier heats. And one thing I do want to mention, your leader, George Hunter, 3.5 seconds in the lead. He's had a fantastic race so far. And once again, as I've said a couple of times today, we've had a leader where we haven't really spoken about them too much. And that's the biggest compliment that I can give, is when I don't really speak about you. Because you're so far in the lead, I don't have to speak about you. You're so far gone. And not only is George Hunter in the lead by quite some way, he's not sitting back on his laurels. He's just on the fastest lap of the race. A 35.387 for George Hunter extends his lead to 3.8 seconds. Ridiculously quick. As there's another move. Oh, Kyle tried it on Tommy Edmonds there, but Tommy Edmonds shut the door. That was nearly a repeat of the previous time where Kyle made a little bit of contact on the rear bumper of the other karts. But lucky for that, he tries it now though into hairpin 2. We've just seen the end of the move and he does make it stick. I think Tommy Edmonds must have given him a lot of room there, because that was a late one. Could have easily been a bit of contact, but through goes Kyle now up into 5th place. And there is your leader on screen now, number 50 of George Hunter. 10 seconds on the clock, so this is going to be the penultimate lap of the race. Kyle Dunford started this race in 24th place. 24th place, and he's now in 5th. What a ridiculously good race for Kyle Dunford. I'm not surprised. I've seen him in the IKR this year, and he's been so fast, so good at overtaking as well. So 24 to 5th. Although it's amazing, it doesn't surprise me. But here we go then. George Hunter starts the final lap of the race. Here he is coming out of Reg's elbow down towards hairpin number 1. And the last lap, he set a fastest lap of the race once again, 35.378 for George Hunter. He's not hanging about. He's continuing to put pedal to the metal, and he doesn't care. He's going to show with style, with finesse, that he deserves this race win in Senior Rotax Heat number 3. What a way to win it for George Hunter. Here comes George Sanders in the 56 to take P2, then the 63 of Liam Hurrell in P3, and then Sean Berry's there in 4th. There is Kyle Dunford from 24th to 5th at the line. A brilliant, brilliant race from Kyle there. Tommy Edmonds was in 6th place. Oh, a lot of runs. You can see if you're watching on the live stream, lots of runs to the line there for lots of different positions. It's just brilliant to see. But Tommy Edmonds finishing off in 6th place. Tom Pryor was 7th. Then it was Ronnie Smith, Jack Powell and Ryan Mills who rounded out the top 10. Behind them, Bradley Barrett, Andrew King, then James Otto and Christopher Harris. Then it was Taylor Bellini, Benjamin Ballou, then Luke Collins, Josh Burton, Adam Mead and Lorenzo Espinosa rounded out the top 20. Then Dudley Ruddock, Martin Jackson and Max Miners were your 23 finishers. And Lucas, we saw on the opening lap, it seemed like he had a problem when he went to go at the race start. His car just did not want to go with him. So he continued for 6 laps, it seems, and then decided that whatever the problem was too much, and he pulled into the pit lane. But what a fantastic couple of races to end off the morning there. Honda Cadet was brilliant from start to finish, and that racing, Senior Rotax, a runaway win for George Hunter, but battling up and down the pack throughout was fantastic. A brilliant run through the field for Kyle Dunford. And now, that's it. All of the heats are done for the 2022 London Cup here at Rye House Karting Raceway. We are indeed going into our lunch break. We will be back after what I believe will be an hour's break for lunch, which we will have a final for each of our classes. If the racing this morning is anything to go by, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So whether you're at the track or whether you're at home watching on either the Motorsport Radio or Rye House streams, don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. Just leave the stream open in the background and set yourself an alarm to make sure you come back and you don't miss any of those races. It's been fantastic. A big shout out to all of the marshals. They've been doing a fantastic job so far today. And of course, out to all of the crew here for Motorsport Media, Motorsport Radio, all of the cameramen out there, and of course, my producer as well. My name has been John Ratcliffe, and I'll be joining you after this hour's lunch break to get on with the 2022 London Cup Finals. See you soon.
Hey,